Oh, fuck. Hmm. I did. Okay. I accidentally typed some kind of Windows shortcut command when I was responding to that. And I just want you to know, for some reason, I found a hidden Windows key to open Audacity? I'm so confused. Huh? What? Why do I have a Windows command to open Audacity? Oh, alright, this is open. I hope this isn't, like, massively loud. Give me just a second, chat. Gotta make sure this isn't loud as heck. I also still have to post on social media. Oh my god, I'm so unprepared. Ah! What's this? What am I being tagged in Discord already? Oh, wait, that's right. I don't have my freaking capture card set up already. Audio is good? Alright, so no, why are you on top? Hold on. There we go. Wait. Alright, sorry chat. I'm like, I had a busy day at work. I'm super disorganized. Hello. Welcome to the stream. Tiny Satan 999 and Renetta Cyan. Remind me, is it Cyan or Cyan? I'm leaning towards Cyan. Partially because it's easier for me to remember it if it sounds like a color. But, welcome to the stream. Thank you for stopping by. My name is Rika Readman, Calico Librarian of VTuber. I'm just getting more adjectives with each stream. I'm gonna say, so, we've been doing Blackberry Honey, and because I'm doing a capture card, oh, Shion, okay. So, because I'm gonna be using a capture card for this now, I had to put delay on, one, the VTube Studio capture, And 2, my own microphone. So like, right, wait, left, left, right, left, right, left, right. That should be pretty synced up for you, right? For me, I am watching my model say everything and emote like a second and a half later, and it's so disorienting. So, you know. Okay, a second and a half is exaggerating. It's like half a second. Regardless. Fun fact, chat. Did you know the Steam version of Blackberry Honey, a wholesome, censored visual novel about 2 maids in love with each other in Victorian England, has nudity in it in the censored version? So the way we're working around that is the team who ported this game to Nintendo Switch added in some extra censorship so that the game is actually rated T for teen now instead of being, well, unrated. So that's how we are going to finish this visual novel. Because I don't want to be banned from Twitch. I've been here for a couple years. I don't want to be banned. I don't know if y'all want me banned. I hope not, you know? Surely hope not. Also, I didn't do any of my social media posts. I'm so low effort for this. Time to hopefully finish up Blackberry Honey. Tune in. So lazy about this. Also, let's see. Nudity dies right? How dare you show anime girl nipple on our wholesome, family-friendly platform, twitch.tv/Rika Readman. How dare you? The audacity. The bombacity. I'm tired of playing out this bit. I'm sorry. Okay, we're done. I got everything. Closing everything. Goodbye, browser. Okay, there's sound. Alright. It's so messed up because I keep trying to move my mouse over to the Switch screen because my 2 monitors are next to each other. I keep trying to move my mouse over to the Switch screen and click the icon, but it's not part of the same thing. We're just gonna do one last sound check, okay? Can I move this up in the order? I can't. Can I do vertical layout? Oh, that's a little better, actually. Alright, how's that sound balance? Is this too loud? Do I need to turn, like, the audio in the game down? What we thinking? I think this is probably fine. I tried testing it myself earlier, so, like, I think it's fine. Game is slightly loud. Also, hi Aries, welcome to the stream. Okay, let's try down 1 tick. How about that? Is that better? Oh, right. Hold on. I'm a fool. I'm a fool. I can't believe I did that. Okay. That should be better now. I believe. You should be able to just hear the game music now. Okay. As soon as we're done with the sound check, we can go into it. And also I can tell you guys about some exciting stuff that's gone on recently. We good? Alright, sick. I trust you. My power's gone up 4 times in 24 hours. Should go catch it. I don't know. Sorry to hear that. Better go catch it. This doesn't work unless you say running out. Anyway. Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in. We are on day 3 of Blackberry Honey. Main character and the mysterious, quote-unquote, exotic older maid, which still feels kind of low-key racist because she's very obviously, like, Chinese with how they describe her. But these are British people, so I'm not surprised. They, you know, they got it on. Which is exciting, you know, good for them. Happy for you, bestie. Better than saying, I am so glad they have not busted out that word. I'm so, you know, like, this is set in Victorian England, so there is a certain level of, like, questionable phrasing and attitudes towards people of other, like, skin tones and looks. You know, that makes sense. Why is my capture card freaking out? But I'm so glad that they have not resorted to calling her Oriental or anything like that. That would just be like, man. Ugh. My mom's in England? Why is your mom in England? Like, the country? Anyway. So first and foremost, chat. Give me 1 second. I, like, just rushed out of the shower, and I need to find my brush, because my hair is super messy and bugging me. Hey, where did I put my brush? Hey, chat, where did I put my brush? Do you know where I put my brush? Okay, whatever. So, first things first. I, as you know, am dating Serena. A lot of you know who Serena is. If any of you don't know who Serena is, she's Serena Penguina, a penguin-themed VTuber. She runs a lot of fighting game stuff for VTubers specifically, and just a lot of fighting games in general. She's actually streaming right now. Go give her a follow. She's my girlfriend. We've been dating for a year. I have an end goal right now where within the next few years I want to move up to where she lives in Toronto, Canada. And so to that end, I actually applied for a job with a law firm up in Toronto the other day. Well, a week or two ago. And then I had an interview on Monday and it went really well. Unfortunately, the logistics of having me live in the US and trying to work remote for a Canadian company, I don't think they're willing to go through with it because I got an email today that said, we are not going to move forward with this. Despite you having an extremely impressive resume. So, you know, that's like, I want to say it's bad news, but I do have a stable job here already. And like, it's not like I needed this job, right? It would have been nice for facilitating that eventual move to Toronto. So, that's one bit of news. Another bit of news is I am officially going to Frosty Faustings. It is a fighting game tournament in Chicago, Lombard, Illinois, basically Chicago. Me and, again, Serena, we went last year together and we had a lot of, this year. We went in January of this year together and had a lot of fun and it was a really good experience and I'm excited to go back. I'm not going to be entering anything because you've been following my streams for the past year. I haven't touched a fighting game in an extremely long time. I'm going to be casual mode and I'm going to hang out with my girlfriend, but I'm excited. And if any of you are watching who are still FGC and you're going, well, let's hang out. Let's hang out. We'll have the whole weekend. And anytime I'm not with my girlfriend, which is going to be the whole weekend, so say hi to me. Other than that, the last new thing is you can see this in the bio already. I applied to join a Twitch stream team called Eldenwood. They're a community centered around promoting 30-plus-year-old VTubers. Proving I think the tagline is like, it's never too late to pursue your dreams, or something to that effect. I'm 30. I'm 33. I get called hag a lot, you know. So, I joined their server, put in an application, interviewed with the team. You know, all very nice, chill people, very cool. And got added to the team. If you scroll down to the About section of Twitch, you can see the name of the team, Eldenwood. Please go ahead and give that a click. Go browse the team. You can go give everyone there a follow. Later, after Blackberry Honey, though, we gotta finish the story, chat. We gotta finish the story of lesbian Victorian maids. Interracial lesbian Victorian maid. God, I hate how many times they have used the word exotic to describe the not white maid in this story. It's historically accurate, but still, I'm not gonna get over it. As a, you know, not only as a person of color, but also as someone dating a Chinese person. Oh, it's funny. Follow Ebby Hime on Twitter and Blue Sky, I think, too. She's the writer for this story and a lot of other visual novels. After this, we might actually be playing another novel that she wrote. There's a demo for it in the Steam Next Fest. It's about a normal ass dude and a white-haired twink that dresses up like a maid that he wants to kiss. Yeah. Anyway. That's enough yapping, chat. We gotta get to the story. I almost tried to click it again. Let's go to the story mode. This is day... Wait, hold on. Fix the microphone. I gotta lean in and have it look natural. You had me at white-haired twink cross-dressing as extra, right? Alright, welcome to the stream tape player, first of all. Here's the thing, is I have done, like, 3? I think this is my 3rd lesbian or Yuri visual novel that I've done. At least, like, explicitly lesbian. So, you know what I haven't done? I haven't had some good yaoi. And at heart, I am a fujoshi. I need me some cute gay boys to kiss. And, we'll leave it at that. Twitch won't let me say more. So, you know. We're gonna check that out later. After this. Probably. I also still have to check out Monarchin Line by Nth Studio. Chan, I have too many visual novels on my list. Please save me. Okay, let's get to the story. Again, this is day 3 of Blackberry Honey. Please enjoy tonight's presentation. Ha! You thought I was gonna be gone? I'm just right here. Let me adjust this, though. Oh, wait, where's my VTube Studio? Is it on that screen? It is on that screen. Forgive me, I haven't streamed with the capture card in, like, literally years. It escapes me. All the particulars escape me. Alright. We're back at it. I did save, right? So, here's the context for those of you who don't remember or just need to catch up. We have Lorena here. Is she 19 or 21? She's a dubiously young maid who lives in this house and serves the family, along with a bunch of other maids that bully her, but she has one friend among them. She's currently being romanced by the older, mysterious maid who keeps to herself named Tao Hua. Tao Hua. I can't stop doing the Spanish thing, sorry. Tao Hua. And of course, as all, you know, women do when presented with a mysterious older woman, she, immediately went into her room in the middle of the night and, without warning, kissed her. And things have escalated since then. It's very heavily implied that they, did some stuff in a bathtub earlier. And this is the aftermath. She comes back to her room. The other maids are calling her a slut, a whore, a harlot, a Jezebel, a concubine, etc., etc., etc. You know, it's Mean Girls, but set in Victorian England. And now we're going to bed with a troubled mind. The 5th of May, Thursday. What is the point in studying Greek literature? It's more than 1,000 years old. It's old, yes, but there is a reason why it has endured for such a long time. That is a testament to its continued value. Who gets to decide what stories are valuable and what aren't? Rich old men in universities? This kid is ahead of her time. Quite. We must learn from our elders and betters. I'm sick of my elders and betters being old men in universities, or even older men in togas who are already dead. These old men in togas, as you termed them, were integral in shaping our current literary canon. Then we should make a new canon. Why do we never study anything written by women? There are few great works written by women. That is simply how it is. It's completely subjective. The worth of Greek literature is by no means subjective. Now, stop this nonsense. You need to take your studies seriously. Lady Constance scowled. I'm tired of this. Maid? Yes? What are you doing standing by the door? Give me my tea. Right away, miss. Lorena bowed her head and crossed the carpet with a few neat steps. She placed the mug of herbal tea on the desk by Lady Constance's side. Herbal tea was supposed to be good for clearing the sinuses and curing colds. It was something Lady Constance had requested specially. Apparently, after the sudden chill during the last few nights, she had been feeling somewhat lightheaded. In testament to that, her nose keeps sniffling. She had to pause several times during her lessons that morning to dab at her nostrils with her handkerchief, which further added to her bad mood. Not that Lady Constance needed the fires of her foul temper stoking further. Not when she was supposed to be studying the Greek classics. I suppose you are good for something after all. Lady Constance took the drink without a word of thanks, as was her wont, and took a small sip. She let the flavor of the tea leaves dissolve across her tongue for a few seconds, shivering at the sudden warmth before she swallowed. I suppose that was satisfactory. It was high praise indeed coming from Lady Constance. Lorena was relieved. Now that you have your beverage, perhaps you will stop complaining and return to your studies. If Miss Ingrid thought that, she clearly didn't have a good grasp on Lady Constance's character. Asking the young girl to stop complaining was like asking the tide to stop turning. I just don't see the point of reading this nonsense. Lady Constance glanced at her copy of Homer's The Odyssey with undisguised dislike. It's one big boy's adventure story. Witches and a cyclops and killing people who look at your wife twice. What a lot of rubbish. How am I supposed to take any of this seriously? You should appreciate the lyricism of the prose. This translation by Pope... Ah, yes, Pope. I'm not very fond of him. As I have already told you, miss, I'm uninterested in your opinions. But I'd far rather study Sappho. This child's a little lesbian. Damn, that's hype. We love discovering your LGBT at a young age. Sappho is unsuitable for such a young girl. There are too many mentions of... Miss Ingrid's face darkened. Unsavory passions. Homophobe? Oh, I see how it is. It's perfectly acceptable for me to read the Odyssey, where Odysseus lies with every woman he meets. But I can't read Sappho, What's wrong with Sappho? Sappho is inappropriate. Her verses are diverting enough, but they hardly speak of universal truths. And killing a Cyclops does? Is that a situation people often find themselves in? I'll have less of your lip, young lady. Focus. You know what? Lady Constance smirked, though the tip of her nose was red from continued wiping with her handkerchief. She looked surprisingly smug. I think your problem, Sorry. Sorry, I just read this. Okay. I think your problem, Ingrid, is that you haven't had enough lip in your life. Miss Ingrid's eyes narrowed. When she next spoke, her voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. What was that? I said, you haven't had enough lip in your life. Who would ever kiss you? I bet you've never been in love or had anybody love you, even though you're 33 years old. You... Miss Ingrid's face blanched, her fingers clenched into fists. Lorena had yet to see Miss Ingrid lose her cool, but appeared even the seemingly unflappable governess had a few sore spots. Chat, is the microphone sound actually synced up properly? The main thing I'm trying to avoid is having the voice lines come out before they actually show up on screen. Let me know if the delay was enough. For my testing, I think it was, but if you notice anything, let me know. Oh, Lady Constance smirked. It seems I was more correct than I thought. You're 33, and you've never been held, or touched, or kissed. How sad. I feel so sorry for you I could cry. And that must be why you became a governess. Your daddy couldn't marry you off to a rich man, so you had to work for a living. Well, what else could you do? I don't think any man could fall for you. You have a nose like a beak, and your lips are like that of an old woman's. You don't know how to dress to flatter yourself. Well, that's probably because you have no imagination whatsoever. You don't let me play the piano as much as I thought, and you refuse to let me read Sappho. What kind of bland, boring woman can't appreciate Sappho? I'm only 12, but I'll probably receive my first kiss long before you ever will. That is quite enough. With this sudden exclamation, Miss Ingrid slammed her palms against the table. The volume of Homer's The Odyssey jumped. So too did Lady Constance's cup of herbal tea. Some of the light brown liquid spilt over the rim of the cup. A small stain of sweet-smelling tea began to form on the open pages of Homer's great epic. But Miss Ingrid, in an uncharacteristic peak of frenzy, didn't even realize. You are only a child. You have no right to talk to me like that. Lady Constance remained unmoved. She looked at Miss Ingrid, her eyes large and unblinking. It only hurts because it's true. Isn't that right? You... How could you? Very easily. My father owns land, and my great-great-grandfather was the Earl of Wessex. My family is a noble one with a long history, dating back to the reign of Edward III. Oh my! How could such a noble family procure a miserable spinster like yourself? They really have declined over the years. Miss Ingrid's face darkened. I'm not getting paid nearly enough to deal with your antics. Then leave. Nothing's stopping you. I don't see why I should be inflicted with your company because no man will marry you. Miss Ingrid inhaled deeply. Her chest rose and fell. Then, with a sudden exclamation, the rumors were right. You really are unteachable. She stormed out of the drawing room. That was a lot easier than I thought it would be. Can you imagine getting roasted so hard by a 12-year-old that you quit your job on the spot? I mean, I can actually. I used to work retail, but it's still mortifying. Lady Constance ran late. I don't need to do the accent anymore. Lady Constance ran a hand through her blonde hair and flipped a few loose strands behind her right shoulder. With a thin smile, she picked up her cup of tea once more and brought it to her lips. The 6th of May, Friday. I've had some of my teachers come close to quitting. I believe that, yeah. 40 12-year-olds ganging up on you is awful. That's why when I was considering going into teaching, that's why I was like, I want to go into high school teaching, right? Well, you know, teenagers are going to be a little more attitude-y, but you don't have to hold your words back with them, right? They are old enough to understand right and wrong and what's appropriate and not appropriate, and like, they're old enough to handle a scolding. Unlike a child who, if I say, hey, stop that, I'm gonna have an angry parent coming in like 2 days later screaming in my face. The following day. Is it true? Did Miss Ingrid really pack her bags and leave? It seems that way. How shocking! I thought she for sure would stay, and yet she lasted even less than Miss Amy. A good deal less. Only 2 weeks. Lisa-Lot shook her head. She looked bemused. Oh, that Lady Constance is fearful. How she was able to drive away such a proud woman, I do not know. I think they had a disagreement or two over Sappho. I don't know much about Sappho. Me neither. It would make much more sense if they disagreed about turnips. Why turnips? Oh, I did not tell you? My Uncle Alphonse got into a frightful feud with my Uncle Titus over the vegetable. My Uncle Alphonse gave my Uncle Titus a crop of turnips from his farm as a gift, because my Aunt Johanna was to have a baby, but the turnips had been inflicted with the blight, and they were quite inedible, and when Aunt Johanna had some of the turnips, she was sick for weeks. I see. Lorena nodded her head dumbly, but she didn't really see. Her mind had already started to drift several syllables into Lisa-Lot's lengthy and convoluted explanation. Lisa-Lot had rather too many family members, and yet more of them seemed to emerge from the woodwork whenever the Swiss maid shared her stories. All these Germanic names were difficult to keep abreast of. Lisa-Lot's family tree was a complex thing indeed, with even more roots and branches than Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil. The 8th of May, Sunday. Thank you for the follow, Liger Zero Gaming. Oops. Lorena made her way to the post office when the Sunday service finished that week. She collected a letter from her mother in a haze, crumpling it in her hand. She was afraid of opening it. She couldn't remember what she had written in her previous letter, but her relationship with Tao Hua had progressed even further since then. What was she to do? Was there anything she could do? Would God ever forgive her? She'd already forgiven herself, but a high new Eldenwood teammate. It's pretty cool. That whole Discord server is pretty cool. I'm glad it's a thing. I got to see a bunch of neat new content creators. Okay, I need some water. And by more water, I mean I just chugged that because my throat is dry as hell. Yeah, it's pretty chill. I like it. I like the environment there. Most of the time. Okay. Remember, chat, we're here for a whole ass story, so make sure you're stretching, hydrating, keeping yourself limber, I just got off work an hour ago, so I needed to stretch a little bit. All right, back into it. Who the hell is this bumping into me? Hey, watch where you're going, you cretin! Lorena staggered backwards, holding one hand to her head. She recognized that voice, though she wasn't overly familiar with it. It was the blonde girl with the impressive ringlets, Theodora's sister. What was her name? Emmeline? Evangeline? Ermengarde? Oh, it's you. What are you doing here? I was just collecting my post. You could apologize for walking into me, you know. I'm sorry? Well, it's lacking in feeling, but I suppose it will do. I imagine your older sister grovels at your feet whenever you chastise her. How did you know? It was a lucky guess. The girl stuck her nose up in the air. I suppose my big sister is rather predictable, if you were able to glean that much information from a single encounter. It's impressive that you understand the very depths of her soul, but you can't remember my name. You could tell. Was this girl clairvoyant? It's almost painfully obvious. You keep glancing to your left. That's what people do when they're trying to remember something they've forgotten. Is that really true? My big sister told me. And you believe her? Not generally, but she can be quite perceptive. She has good eyes. I suppose one would need good eyes to repair violins. Quite so. My name, it's Emily. Emily? Yes, Emily. Don't forget it again, or I won't forgive you. Alright, I won't. I promise. If I ever forget Lady Constance's name like that, I'd be strung up in a gibbet. Lorena had meant to mumble that remark under her breath, but Emily still heard her. The blonde girl frowned. Constance? Not the awful offspring of the Leonard family. You know Lady Constance? Of course I know Constance. Everybody around here does. The sour-faced, ill-tempered little brat is quite famous. I gather you don't care for her, then. I care for her about as much as I care for Zanzibar and its forests and its scarlet fever. Lady Constance isn't as bad as all that. Though, seeing how she treated Miss Ingrid, Lorena wasn't sure. Emily raised a brow and Lorena paused, reconsidering. Well, I suppose she is quite bad, but she probably isn't as dangerous as scarlet fever. I'm just trying to warn you. Constance has never been able to get rid of Tao Hua for all her trying, which makes her rather vindictive towards the other maids. I think she's trying to assert her authority. What do you mean she wants to get rid of Tao Hua? Oh, did you not know? No. Hi, Jamma7 over on YouTube. Thanks for stopping by. From what I've gathered, Constance has always hated Tao Hua. She's been trying to get Tao Hua fired since she was old enough to talk, with limited success. Though she can drive her governesses away in droves, Tao Hua has clung on for more than 10 years. She's incredibly crafty. Governesses? Lorena frowned. Do you know about Miss Ingrid? It's not just me. Everybody in Ellesmere knows about Miss Ingrid, and Miss Amy, and Miss Lillian, and Miss Catherine, and Miss Penelope, and Miss Adrienne. But Miss Ingrid was only dismissed a few days ago. Maybe so, but it's painfully obvious when yet another governess is drummed out of Bly in disgrace. They stop showing up at St. Mary's every Sunday, you see. I see. Lady Constance's foul temper was mostly kept in check when she ventured beyond the walls of Bly, but the consequences of her actions were immediately apparent to those in the nearby village. Idly? Lorena wondered if the congregation of St. Mary's placed bets on how long Lady Constance's governesses would last. Then again, maybe not. Gambling wasn't very Christian. Ellesmere is a small village, and people like gossiping. There's little else to gossip about around here, save Constance's new governesses. And Tao Hua, of course. What do you mean? Tao Hua is every bit as famous, if not more so, than the Leonard family themselves. Whenever anybody thinks about the Leonards, they think about the peculiar maid, with her olive skin and almond eyes. You make her sound like something to eat rather than a human being. Because it's true. Tao Hua is well known precisely because she's unusual. People always stare when she goes into the village. Everyone wonders when she'll be driven out of Bly like Miss Ingrid and the rest, but it hasn't happened yet, and she's worked there for as long as I can remember. There are rumors about her, you know. What sorts of rumors? All kinds. That she heralds from some mysterious backwoods country where they eat opium all day and roast babies on spits. I've heard children whisper that she's a witch, and the children aren't the only ones who believe those tall tales. But that's ridiculous. I know it's ridiculous, but Tao Hua does herself no favors by acting so aloof. She's been working at Bly for more than a decade, but she hasn't even tried to fit in with the villagers. Why would she trouble herself with people who think she's a witch? If she was more genial, they wouldn't say so many harsh things. People are afraid of the unknown. She could at least go to church. Lorena had to admit, she herself had wondered about Tao Hua's conspicuous absence from Reverend Marner's sermons, but she hadn't lost sleep over it. Lorena hadn't missed Tao Hua. In fact, she'd been glad the older woman didn't go to church. Why would she go to church anyway? She can't be a Christian. One only needs to look at her to work that out. That was what Lorena had thought. Not anymore. Still, it's probably in Tao Hua's best interest to maintain her reputation, sullied though it is. Why? People are afraid of the unknown, but they're also drawn to it, and they like the mystery. Why else is the Orient so fashionable? Lady Leonard has a lot of expensive ornaments from overseas. She displays them in the parlor for her guests. And it's much the same with Tao Hua. She's a curiosity, something pretty to put on display. How do you know all of this? Because my big sister is the only friend Tao Hua has in this village. Though I doubt you could call them friends. They only interact over Tao Hua's violin. And Tao Hua told your sister all of this? You forget. My big sister has known Tao Hua for more than a decade. Tao Hua doesn't say these things outright. They can be guessed easily. I'm not an idiot, you know. I never said you were. Good. Emily turned her nose up in the air dismissively. She was, Lorena realized, not a girl who took being questioned well. She was probably accustomed to her older sister accepting everything she said as the unblemished truth, holier even than the word of God. Why else would Lady Leonard continue to employ Tao Hua, despite Constance's continued attempts to get her fired? It must be her value as a novelty item. I can think of no other reason. Well, you might be right. Of course I'm right. Ask Tao Hua yourself. She's probably ashamed of it, but who wouldn't be? I'd be ashamed too if I made my living as a human doll. When you think about it, it's not that much different from being a prostitute. Don't say that about Tao Hua. What? That she's like a prostitute? That she should be ashamed? She's done nothing to be ashamed about. It's not her fault what other people think about her. So she looks a little different. So what? That doesn't make her a bad person. Now why do you sound so riled up? I wasn't trying to cause offense. How could it be? Are you being loyal to your mistress? No, it's nothing like that at all. Well, if you ask me, there's nothing terrible about that. I beg your pardon? I'm glad Tao Hua has somebody who cares about her for who she is, difficult though she can be. No matter what I say, I worry about her. But what about your big sister? Can't Tao Hua rely on her? I suppose. But my big sister isn't the best confidant. It sounds like Tao Hua has confided in her a lot. Not very much. I'm reading between the lines. Big sister hasn't picked up on the finer details, but that's to be expected. She's only good with violins. She isn't so good with people. She has no sensitivity whatsoever. How can somebody with no sensitivity devote their life to repairing instruments? Instruments are easier to work with than people. If there's something wrong with a violin, you can generally fix it. And that's not always the case when you're dealing with fellow human beings. Emily paused thoughtfully and glanced up at the sky. I think you should try to get closer to Tao Hua. She might act like she's above petty things like affection and companionship. But people aren't islands. I wouldn't be surprised if she gets lonely from time to time. Are you sure? I'm positive. Happy people don't cling to inanimate objects like she does. Speaking of which, I think her violin will be fixed next week. Make sure you tell your mistress that. I'm sure she'll appreciate it. She isn't my mistress, Emily giggled. You are such a bad liar. She knows what you are. What a dreadful person. It's like a mixed bag, right? Because she sees everything for what it is, and she's not sugarcoating any of it. And it's not like she hates Tao Hua, I think. She's just kind of like blunt in a rude way, but I personally don't think that's that bad. Loved your mama design. Thank you, Lee Grimm's Amord on YouTube. Appreciate you for stopping by. Oh, you have news about my violin? Yes, I happened to run into Emily in the village, and she said it would be finished next week. Well, that is wonderful news. Tao Hua smiled, and Lorena found herself smiling alongside her. It was hard for Lorena not to share in Tao Hua's happiness, though, naturally, the violin meant a good deal less to her. Lorena was sitting on the edge of Tao Hua's bed like she so often did. The older woman, meanwhile, was examining her own reflection in the mirror by her bedside. Lorena observed her silently for a few moments before she broached the question. What are you doing? Just checking. What? Is your hair starting to turn gray? Oh, you are cute. I was actually thinking that I should tidy myself up, my rude little Lori. My hair looks like a bird's nest. It looks fine to me. I've had a busy day. Some loose strands have started to escape at the back. If you're really that tired, maybe you should get some rest instead. I couldn't possibly. Why not? Because I'm spending time with you. Lorena blushed shyly and looked down at her shoes. Don't be foolish. I don't care what you look like. You would say that, my little Lori. You don't take proper care of your own hair either. What precisely is wrong with my hair? There's nothing wrong with it per se, but it is rather unruly. Well, excuse me. You know. I've wondered this for a while, my little Lori. But why is your hair so short? Lorena pinched a strand of her hair between her thumb and forefinger and gave it a squeeze. Is it a problem? Not in the slightest. But you have to admit, it's quite an unusual style for a young lady. Effie's hair is shorter. And she is the most unusual maid I have ever met. And Pauline's. Remember, my little Lori, I did specify young. A small smile captured Lorena's lips. Her eyes crinkled at the corners. Funnily enough, talking to Tao Hua as of late always cheered her up. Particularly when they were bad-mouthing Pauline. Wait, that's so rude. What the hell? Still, talking about her hair was a rather sensitive subject. It dredged up memories Lorena didn't want to recall. She hung her head. A small sigh escaped from her lips. I've had long hair ever since my childhood. I just felt like changing it. Really? Tao Hua looked at Lorena in askance. Askance? Her bright green eyes were glittering, probing. Is that all? Lorena nodded. Truly. Honestly. But that was a lie. And for once, Lorena almost wanted to talk about it. Almost. She'd spoken to precious few people about the incident other than her own family. They'd been supportive of her in their own ways, even Mary, who'd chastised Lorena for not taking advantage of the situation. Lorena had forgiven Mary, though. She was just a silly young girl. The Pickerings, however, hadn't been nearly as understanding. They had offered Lorena no support or sympathy. Instead, they had scolded her and labeled her as an opportunistic strumpet. But that wasn't true. At least, Lorena didn't think it was true. That wasn't how she saw it. But what about Tao Hua? What is it, Lori? Do you have something you want to share with me? I was thinking, this is a hypothetical scenario. You understand? Yes. What ifs? Beloved by all, from businessmen investing in the stock market to young children with grand dreams of being princess and princesses. I'm rather fond of them myself. What kind of things do you what if about? Strangulating Lady Constance, mostly. How terrible! I jest. Partially. So, what manner of things are you what-ifing about, my little Lori? Well, say, for instance, there was a man. Tao Hua's nose wrinkled. Average lesbian's response when you say there is a man. Oh dear. I don't like the direction of this what if is going already. Wait, I messed that up. Oh dear. I don't like the direction this what if is going in already. Me neither, but that's where it begins. Then we can begin there if we must. Thank you. He was a wealthy man, a noble. His parents owned an estate much like Bly, and he was to inherit it. His parents were keen for him to marry a noblewoman so they could have noble children, as you do. As is life. But then, the family employed a new maid. Just a regular housemaid. She wasn't very important, really. There was nothing special about her. Everything about her was average. I'm sure she wasn't so very average. She was. She was plain and unremarkable in absolutely every way, but she didn't mind that. She would have preferred if she could have worked silently, out of sight and out of mind, like all good maids should, but he had different ideas. Oh, Lori. He was fond of the maid for some reason. Overly fond, in fact. Maybe it was because she was young and naive and easy to manipulate, but he would often interrupt her while she was at work and instigate conversation. At first, she didn't mind. In fact, she was somewhat flattered by the attention he lavished upon her, but over time, he said that my hair was pretty. Can you believe that? Such a ridiculous line. It's only hair. Everyone has hair. Thank you for the follow, Hikari with Kremco Incorporated. Joe the gardener doesn't have hair. Well, no, but I wish he hadn't paid me such compliments. I wish he'd just let me alone. Why couldn't he have let me alone? Lori, he didn't do anything ungentlemanly, did he? Oh, things didn't escalate that far. He started to make me feel uncomfortable, so I tried to avoid being alone with him. Sometimes it worked, other times it didn't. And when it didn't, he would say things when he saw me. All kinds of things. He tried to touch me, but I would back away. He thought I was teasing and took it to be some kind of game. He thought my reluctance was amusing. At first. Then he grew angry. What did you do? I slapped him and ran away. Tahua whistled under her breath. Oh, my microphone doesn't catch me whistling. Impressive. I would expect no less from my feisty little Lori. You do have quite the temper. There was more to it than that. I was angry, yes, but I was also scared. I never asked for his attention. I never wanted his affection. Mary scolded me for wasting an opportunity. She said I should have coerced him into buying me some expensive gifts at least. But she wasn't the one who had to deal with him. I was. Mary? My little sister. She's 14. She sounds rather opportunistic. She'll probably be quite formidable when she's older. She will if she ends up with a figure like yours. Hey! Lorena spluttered indignantly. I'm trying to have a serious conversation. I know. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to diffuse the tension. Well, I suppose it did work in a way. Good. You don't feel sad anymore, do you? I'm not sad, but I don't know. I don't like thinking about it. A sigh. After slapping one of my employers and making his nose bleed to boot, I was no longer welcome at Hartwell. I was turned out in disgrace, in fact. If I'd kept quiet and allowed him to continue with his flirtations, as he called them, perhaps I'd still be there now. But I don't think it would have been worth it. I don't want to be subjugated like that again. But nobody saw it from my perspective. They said it was my fault for leading him on. Being a temptress, you know? Because I'd laughed at one or two of his jokes and enjoyed some of our earlier conversations, and because I had nice hair. And to think, I hadn't even disliked him in the beginning. I thought, quite foolishly, that when he was being nice to me, it was because he truly was nice. I thought when he said he cared about me, he meant it. I suppose he only cared in so much as I would let him have his way with me. Lorena sniffed. Her shoulders shook. She didn't want to cry. Not over this. Arthur didn't deserve her tears. Rose named Arthur? She didn't want to think about the person who had ruined her career, destroyed her reputation, and could, quite possibly, have indirectly killed her. Had the Hartwell's housekeeper, Miss Marianne, not pawned Lorena off on the Leonards. It will be all right. Miss Waugh might have had a rather difficult time in Hartwell, but she's a hard worker and she does her best. I'm sure we'll be fine. After all, you don't have any young sons of your own. In Bly, there were no gentlemen for Lorena to unwittingly seduce, with her tempting and highly suggestive hair. Get it? The hair is a metaphor for, you know. Hi, little Drea. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for the compliment. I've been enjoying some of your streams too. They're chill. I wouldn't describe your voice as a reading voice, but it's still pretty fun to tune in. I like the energy. I appreciate the energy. As somebody who's fairly low energy and, you know. Yeah. Chaos voice. That's a good way to put it. Okay, water. Oh, Lori. My little Lori. With a sniffle, Lorena let her head rest against Tao Hua's shoulder. Tao Hua held her obligingly. Her eyes were soft and gentle. If it's any consolation, I wouldn't blame the maid in your story for what happened. She committed no crime, other than, perhaps, being criminally adorable. Adorable? Indeed. I have no idea who this maid is, but I'm sure she's very beautiful, even after she cut off her own hair. Tao Hua smiled, coiling a strand of Lorena's fair brown hair about her fingers. Quite inexpertly, I might add. The ends are all uneven. Well, excuse me. I've never claimed to be a professional hairdresser. Well, fortunately for you, I have rather skilled fingers. And what does that mean? No, seriously, what do you mean by that, Tao Hua? What do you mean by that? You're not slick. It means, if I may be so bold, I would rather like to tend your hair for you, my little Lori. I feel like you don't care for it as much as you should. Well, alright. If you want to play with my hair, I have no objections. Good. Tao Hua giggled and pressed a kiss against the side of Lorena's cheek. I do love spoiling my pets. The 10th of May, Tuesday. And then she brushed her hair and nothing happened. Nothing else happened. They brushed each other's hair and trimmed the split ends and immediately went about their day. This is a Nintendo Switch port of this visual novel, so that's all that's allowed. Everyone's good at something. Very true. We do have to play to our strengths. She has to be as obvious as possible picking up women. I mean, this is Victorian England. This is like mid-1800s, I think. But you know, in where's that? My hand lotion real quick. It's winter, so my hands are like way more prone to drying up. There we go. In this case, you know, in Victorian England, it's like Victorian England. Technically, homosexuality is still considered sinful here. So, like, I have to imagine if you are a woman coming on to another woman, you probably have to be as obvious as possible so that, you know, the other person knows, right? Because it's not like modern day where people are more open about same-sex relationships, where it's like, I could go hit on another woman and they'd be like, oh, are you hitting on me? You know? Or like, where a guy can hit on another guy and they'll take it seriously, right? Back then, they'd just be like, oh, this guy's being super friendly. I wonder why. Hee hee. And also, Taohua is older than her, so like, how do I say? I think it's a common dynamic that the older person in a queer relationship definitely comes on extremely strongly. I don't know, because I don't date very younger than me. My girlfriend is like half a year younger than me, but I've heard could be the case. Actually, no. I'm thinking about the two friends I know that are dating each other that have a significant age gap, and I think the younger one is actually the aggressive one there, so that already blows my theory out of the water. Okay, fun fact. My arms and hands are now lotioned up. My hair actually got brushed too. WTB hair brushies. Chat, why am I drawing a blank? What does WTB mean? Can someone remind me what WTB means? I don't remember right now. Want to buy. Oh, that's why. I'm like, I feel like I've seen this somewhere. And I'm just like, wait. I feel like the place I've seen this is RuneScape. Want to buy hair brushies. Chat, how much would you sell hair brushies for? Is that a service that you can put a price on? What do you mean aggressive? Hi, Gillial. How are you and your partner that's almost 10 years older than you? Hope you're doing well. Still have MMORPG brain rot 15 years ago? I get it. I got really into Final Fantasy XIV like 3 years ago, and I'm probably gonna still be brain rotted from that in 7 years, so... Following Miss Ingrid's sudden departure the previous week, Lady Constance was, once more, left without a governess. While Lady Leonard posted an advertisement for a new governess in all the Shropshire newspapers, Lady Constance whiled away her time in the drawing room, playing the piano or flipping through her well-worn volumes of Sappho. Lady Constance, despite being a member of the upper echelons of society, had few interests in life beyond the piano and Sappho. Lorena knew Lady Constance was fond of the instrument, but she hadn't realized how proficient she was with it until one Tuesday morning. Lorena had been busy dusting the ornaments that lined one of the many luxuriant hallways in Bly, when she heard the soft, plaintive strains of a piano melody drifting through the hall. The melody was emitting from the drawing room where Lady Constance took her lessons. The door was slightly ajar, allowing Lorena to see a small slither of the room beyond. There, tucked away in a corner, was the piano. Sitting on the stool by said piano, and looking far softer and sweeter than usual, was Lady Constance. Compared to the piano, an imposing instrument made of rosewood, its ivory keys shining beneath the spring sunshine, Lady Constance seemed very small and slight indeed. That piano was large enough to crush the young lady should it fall forwards, but she commanded it with apparent ease. Her eyes were half-lidded, her blonde hair falling over her shoulders. The sunlight caught in her long, luxuriant tresses, so it shone like a halo. At that moment, she really did look angelic. Lorena paused, She stood by the entrance of the drawing room, struck dumb. She couldn't have moved even if she wanted to. And Lady Constance had her under her spell. Is it an original piano piece? Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I think the writer for this novel probably commissioned somebody to do it. I would believe it just based on like what I've seen of their other work. Unaware of Lorina's presence, the young girl continued to play. Her fingers danced across the white and black keys, confident and self-sure, despite being so small. Lorina hadn't realized Lady Constance, who so often scoffed and sneered at others, was capable of producing such beautiful music. Lorina didn't know what the song was, or who had composed it, but that didn't stop her from finding its haunting strains beautiful. Doubtless, it had been penned by one of the long-dead great men Lady Constance showed such disdain for, but even so, she played it with true conviction. Okay. Hold on, that drop went hard. That was sick. Okay, so it sounds like it is actually just a recitation of a classic or something. Great men. Yeah, I know, my voices are great. I'm fantastic. I should sign up to be a voice actor with my, like, range of, like, 2 different voices, which is Gah and hee hee. Sorry, I'm in a goofy mood today. Speaking of lesbian stories, I'm in a good mood because I took my lunch break. My girlfriend took her lunch break earlier, and like we looked at hotels for a trip we're taking in January. And then she was like, "Do you want to play a game together while I'm still on my lunch break?" So I took my lunch break, and like, that's my favorite thing in the world, being able to like both be working similar schedules. So like, you take your lunch breaks or your breaks together and spend a little bit of time with each other. I love that. It's a good feeling. I think you'll be able to voice Goofy for the next Kingdom Hearts. Gosh, Zora, we gotta go to Kingdom Hearts and beat up Zemnis for the 50th time. Yuck. Okay, I'm never doing that again. I'm never doing that again. For a few moments, time seemed to stand still. Even the particles of dust in the air froze. And yet, like all good things, it came to an end. The last note died in the air. It was wistful and melancholy, leaving behind only bittersweet memories of what had once been. Lady Constance paused for a few moments, her fingers suspended over the keys. Before she turned her head, her eyes narrowed. "I know you're there, maid." Lorena jumped. How had Lady Constance known? She had been so very absorbed in her music. It seemed she had left the whole world behind her. But Lady Constance's 5 senses were sharper than Lorena gave her credit for. Maybe it was because of her age. You know, it's rude to eavesdrop on a lady when she's in the middle of rehearsal. So that had been a mere rehearsal, had it? What manner of music, then, could Lady Constance coerce from those ivory keys when she was playing a piece seriously? Lorena couldn't imagine it. Well, don't just stand there dithering. I don't want to have a conversation across a door frame. Yes, of course. Lorena obediently opened the drawing room door and stepped inside. Melancholy lesbian music. I didn't know I had a specific genre I needed. I'm just saying. Melancholy lesbian is an extremely good aesthetic. That's just me. Hi. No. I'm Pan. I swing every which way, but I'm in a relationship with another woman, so I guess I would count as a melancholy lesbian? Who knows? Yep, yes. The minute Lorena entered the room, Lady Constance rounded on her. She looked more sullen and sulky than ever before. Why were you listening to me, maid? Oh, I'm not entirely sure. Good grief. Lady Constance rolled her eyes. You're even stupider than I thought. It's difficult to explain. I've never heard you play the piano before, so I was curious. I didn't know you were so talented. I never asked for your empty praise, but I meant every single word. I don't care if you meant every single syllable. What is the praise of a maid worth? I bet you don't even know what that song was. So she had summoned Lorena to the parlor to insult her, was it? Lorena supposed that was her lot in life, being a mere maid. After hearing Lady Constance produce such pure music from the piano, she had thought... What had she thought? And now she was face to face with the girl. Lorena wasn't quite sure. If I've displeased you, miss, I apologize. It was rude of me to eavesdrop. Lorena gave Lady Constance a small curtsy. If that's all, I'll make myself scarce. Wait. Pardon? I never said you could go. Lorena froze, her fingers inches away from the door handle. She straightened her back, steeled her resolve, and glanced back at the young lady. What did she want now? It was Liszt. I beg your pardon? The song I was playing. Liszt's Love Dream. Miss Adrienne taught me it. One of your previous governesses? Lorena had never met Miss Adrienne Spence before, but she'd heard the stories. According to Lieselot, Miss Adrienne had been the only governess Lady Constance had been able to tolerate. Did you, like Miss Adrienne? Like her? What a foolish question. I loved her. Lorena stared. She couldn't help herself. She hadn't known Lady Constance could feel love. Lorena had assumed the young girl's heart was too withered for such intense emotions. But she'd been wrong. If Lady Constance couldn't feel love, the music she'd coaxed from the piano wouldn't have sounded so sweet. Nor so sad. How long was Miss Adrienne your governess? Only 7 months. Oops. Only 7 months. Almost as long as Miss Amy then. But Lady Constance hadn't liked Miss Amy at all. If you liked her so much, why did she leave? Mother sent her away. But she's been struggling to find you a governess you can get along with for more than a week. Why would she get rid of a governess you actually liked? I think that was the problem. I liked Miss Adrienne too much. Is it possible to like your governess too much? Mother thought it was. She never said so, but I think she was jealous. Of your governess? I spent more time with Miss Adrienne than I did with Mother. We were always playing the piano together. Mother can't play a single note, and I believe she felt left out. She thought Miss Adrienne was going to take her only daughter away from her, so she fired her. And how did you feel? How do you think I felt? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have asked. It's fine. A stupid maid like you probably can't understand. Lady Constance frowned. She turned to the piano, idly tracing her fingers against the keys, but applied no pressure. Since Mother fired Miss Adrienne, I've been through no less than 7 governesses. 7 governesses in 2 years? 20 months, to be more precise. Lorena wasn't sure whether she should be impressed or not. But surely not all your governesses have been bad. I thought Miss Amy was rather sweet. But she wasn't Miss Adrienne. Lady Constance scowled. She drew her fingers from the keys and held them close against her chest. Amy tried to be Miss Adrienne. She tried to be kind to me, to flatter me, to get on my good side, but it didn't work. I never wanted to be her friend, though she may have wanted to be mine. There would be no point anyway. Why not? Didn't you listen to me? Mother is awfully protective. If she fired Miss Adrienne, she could easily fire anybody else. In the end, it's better not to get too attached. Lady Constance looked down at her knees. She sighed softly. The sound was every bit as wistful as her piano melody. Liszt's love dream. Lorena blinked. Maybe she'd finally begun to understand Lady Constance. Just a little. Was this why the young girl was so very aggressive towards her governesses? And so rude to her maids? Was she simply afraid? Lady Leonard might have given Lady Constance everything she could ever want. Dolls to play with, beautiful clothes to wear, and delicious food to eat. But she couldn't give Lady Constance the one thing she needed. Companionship. Ridiculous. Lady Constance snorted and shook her head. Why am I telling you this anyway? I must be coming down with a fever. It has been rather cold during the nights. Some of the maids have been coughing a good deal. Hi, Muffin McFluffin on YouTube. Thanks for coming back. Ungovernable Creature. Hey, an hour after 10. Welcome to the stream. Wait, is this novel's soundtrack on Spotify? I might need to check that out. I'm actually really curious to listen to some of the tracks in full. Oop. Lady Constance wrinkled her nose. I hope you haven't given me something. I'm sure it'll be all right, miss. I doubt it's anything serious. The 11th of May, Wednesday. Oh, it's the same composer as Little Goody Two Shoes? Oh, by the way, chat. Speaking of Little Goody Two Shoes, you should absolutely check out my friend, Liddy Barn. They are a, Silver Star VTuber. Liddy's a variety streamer. Good friend of mine. And by that, I mean, good friend of my girlfriend who I stole and is now my friend. But Liddy and I have, on Saturday nights, we've been reading through Little Goody Two Shoes together, playing through it. We're currently probably 30% through it. So we'll be doing that Saturday at 11 p.m. Eastern. Please go give Liddy a follow and tune in to see us playing through that more. So thank you for the Neko and the Penguin. I appreciate you two teaming up to keep me company. Little Goody Two Shoes is really good. No, my controller! I expected it to, be a, pretty good narrative. I expected some, a little bit of horror and, some cute fairy tale aesthetic. But the art is so amazing for it. And also, I went into it and I did not expect whatsoever for it to have 1 million lesbians in it. I was shocked. I didn't think it was gay. But it's chill. It's cool. We like it. I'm vibing. Rika, when do we get a redeem to swap the Neko Rika with the normal Rika? Okay. So here's a problem with that, Gillial, is the way the redeems work is I have to set up item scenes on the individual models, and that's what toggles the scene. So for the penguin, I have an item scene that is just the penguin in that position, and I can set it to a hotkey and have it automatically stay for a set amount of minutes, and then it fades away after some time. Same with the Neko Rika. I have her loaded as an item, and it's the same deal. If I had a redeem that I could have a redeem that switches my models, however, the item scenes don't work for all models. I have to set up a different item scene for each model for each redeem. So the main problem there is if somebody redeems to swap this model with Neko Rika, then all of the redeems that have to do with adding things onto this model stop working. And also I have to set up duplicate versions of those redeems for the Neko Rika model. I considered it for a long time, but one, it's a lot of work, and two, I really don't want to risk somebody coming in not knowing what the redeems are and like redeeming the wrong thing and wasting points. I could easily refund it, but that's time and effort. You know, I'm here reading visual novels. I try not to disturb the storytelling as much as I possibly can, which is why a lot of the time I will wait to respond to chat until we're at a good stopping point. But like, if I had to keep stopping to like refund wrong redeems or something, that would suck. So, you know, instead you get funny Neko Rika totem pole. Anyway, go follow Liddy. I think they got sick. But Larina was wrong. Goodness, it's been so bitter lately. You wouldn't think it was nearly summer. I feel like I'm gonna freeze. As if to accentuate her point, Isabel sneezed. It was a dry, hacking cough that sounded rather painful. These blankets just aren't thick enough. We're all going to catch hypothermia. My poor fingers are trembling so. I'll never be able to thread a needle again. Or play the violin. Isabel frowned. I can't play the violin. Effie shrugged soundlessly. My mistake. Effie was the only one in the servants' quarters, wholly unconcerned about these long cold nights. She seemed much the same as ever. Which was, to say, she surveyed her surroundings with dispassionate eyes and contributed little to conversations. Even Lieselot, who'd been born amongst the frost and ice of the Swiss Alps, was suffering from the cold. Oh, I wonder how this happened. Lieselot, who was a small lump beneath her blanket, sneezed pitifully. The winters in Andermatt are far, far chillier than this. You must have been in England too long. Oh no, I hope not. I have never once had a cold in my life, and this... Lieselot's words were punctuated, yet again, with a sneeze. It's simply terrible. How can I return to Andermatt now? Maybe you can't. I cannot? No. With your health being so brittle, you would faint clean away when the first snowflake lands on the tip of your nose. But... Lieselot's big blue eyes began to tremble. They filled with unshed tears. Her lower lip wobbled. If I never return to Andermatt, I cannot see my mama or papa, or Uncle Alphonse and Uncle Rudolph and Uncle Titus and Uncle... It was at this point Larina stopped listening. Lieselot had too many aunts and uncles. Yeah, Pauline is mean. The 12th of May, Thursday. We must be understaffed if I've been instructed to aid in such a menial task. Taohua walked along the hallway with quick steps, her dark hair fluttering behind her. Lorena tried to keep pace, but her legs were shorter than Taohua's, and it took more effort than it should have. Taohua's eyes were narrowed, just slightly, and her footsteps fell with more purpose than usual. They struck a hard series of staccato tock, tock, tocks against the wooden floor. Yeah, take care of yourself, Hikari. Have a good night. Go rest up. Drink water. Thank you for the follow and thanks for hanging out. When does Lorena get to sleep in Taohua's room? That's what I'm wondering! They've already, just saying. If I let a woman touch my body the way they did, and she didn't let me sleep in her bed, I would be upset. That's not a story to share on stream. Never mind. Don't worry about it. This sudden shift in her rota really must have peeved her. What are you talking about? They just did each other's hair? Oh, you're right. Actually, you're right. I would never let people... You know what? If I let another woman touch my hair, let me cuddle under your blanket, alright? It's cold. Especially because you just shortened my hair a little bit. Take responsibility. This sudden shift in her rota really must have peeved her. Do you mind that much? Taohua glanced over at Lorena and blinked, as though only just aware of her presence. Oh, my little Lori. I'm sorry if I was being snappish. I just don't care for mundane tasks like these. It's fine. Nobody likes dusting apart from Ethel. She was rather fastidious about it. She cleaned our house every other day without prompting. A pause. Hairdresser be like, hey yo, I'm just doing my job. You know, that's fair. Sorry to all the hairdressers out there. Y'all getting a bad rap. Though my house is far smaller than Bly. I must say, this Ethel sounds like a paragon of womanly virtues. She would make a good wife someday. I'm sure she'll make her beau a happy husband indeed. She already set her sights on a future husband? She's mature for her age. Just how old is this sister of yours? She's 15, but she acts so wise and mature, you'd think she was older. Sometimes, it feels like she's the one looking out for me. I'm sure you're a commendable older sister in your own right, Lori. Really? I can tell how deeply you care about others, and how seriously you take your job. Unlike you. Indeed. I am a scoundrel. The worst of the worst. An incorrigible knave. Taohua licked her lowered lip with her pointed, cat-like tongue to emphasize the point, and then started laughing. Lorena wanted to sigh at Taohua's antics, but she couldn't bring herself to. Sweeping the hallways of Bly alongside Taohua was far, far preferable to doing so with Pauline. Really, though? Taohua shook her head, her earlier good humor melting away. I need to find some way to keep myself entertained. Sweeping these hallways is deeply unappealing. I know, but you are a maid. Sweeping comes with the territory. Maid or not, I wasn't made for such hard labor. Lorena couldn't help but recall Emily's words. She paused, frowning. You prefer being paraded around in front of Lady Leonard's No, wait! Okay, so, here's the problem. Playing this on the Switch means I'm playing it on a controller, which means I hit the buttons a little too easily. You prefer being paraded around in front of Lady Leonard's guests? It's a good deal less strenuous, that's for certain. But now, let's not talk about such things. Kahua waved Lorina's query aside with a wave of her right arm. Hey, thank you for the stream, Afina. How was, Stars in Time? How was your stream? Afina. You're probably getting a pre-roll ad right now, which ads are an unfortunate hazard of Twitch, but I find them preferable to ads every hour which interrupt the action. Welcome to the stream, everyone coming from Fina's Raid. My name is Rika Readman, Calico, librarian, elf, former cat girl, lesbian coded, Latino, Lakota, two-spirited, queer VTuber. Sorry, I have to keep adding more adjectives every time I do the intro. Oh, you finished Stars in Time? Was it Stars in Time? Stars and Time. You're sad? Did it make you cry? So hi, that's an L, right? Hi, LDLD. Hi, Fiery Wolf. How goes the Yuri Maids? Oh, they go well. They are, doing each other's hair. And also, I don't have to worry about getting banned from Twitch because I got the Switch version, which is actually properly censored. The game, perhaps? Hey, chat. I know I have a lot of you lurking in here, and I hope you're lurking with sound on, and I also hope you all are in the know, because I lost the game, and I hope that means something to all of you. I hope that means something to a lot of you. I hope your night is ruined, just like mine was. Hee hee hee. I still like Taohua's earrings. They're so good, aren't they? Get owned. Oh my god. Oh, I totally forgot that the Bonk program actually needs a delay added to it too. Hold on. Wait, can I not add a... Oh, render delay. Here we go. 400. Also, I have a passing interest in what this big-breasted maid game is about since we've rated you during it before. Oh my god. Yeah. So it's about Lorina, the big-breasted maid in question, has to come work in a rich person's house, rich family's house, in this like remote area, and everyone bullies her, including the other maids, the 12-year-old child that they babysit, and some of the people in town. But a nice older Chinese maid who is mysterious and quote-unquote exotic takes an interest in her, and then they make out numerous times and do each other's hair. You know, that's the gist of the story. I probably should be wary since I am at work, ATM. Fiery Wolf, we got the censored version, don't worry. As long as you have headphones on, you should be fine. Actively having to fill out space with jaw therapy? Damn. You're aware that your tongue is taking up space in your mouth now, also breathing manually? Hi, Stob. Welcome to the stream. Can we ban Stob? No. We can't. We can't. Gotta learn to speed read real quick. Makeout is a very PG way to describe what they did. Muffin McPluffin over on YouTube. Yeah, you know. This version of the game, the Switch version, is rated T for teen. So, that's the most we can say. Also, chat member, we are simulcasting on YouTube and Twitch, so if you want to help my metrics, help my numbers, go over to YouTube and give me a subscribe. Or even just lurk in the chat. I don't know. More viewers, I think, leads to more of the platform pushing me out. Would be chill. If you want to do something about the space in your mouth, you should fill it with somebody else. Listen, You can't say shit like that when, like, it's been 2 months now since I last went to go visit my girlfriend. You can't be saying that shit. Alright. Some of us are yearning with a capital Y. Alright. Go on, be Yuri coded about it. Yeah, I'm so Yuri coded, I say, as I shove my tongue down another woman's throat. Yeah, I'm Yuri maxing right now as I light up a cigarette in the darkness of night. I don't smoke, though. I haven't smoked anything in years. Fellow long-distance girlfriend enjoyer? Yeah! If you know, you've rated in before. I don't know if you've heard me mention how I've moved across the country recently, from Arizona to Pittsburgh. And a big part of it was because I wanted to be closer to my girlfriend, because she lives in Canada. East Coast Canada. So I moved to a place where I'm a 6-hour drive away. You know, long-distance enjoyer. I need to go make a visit soon. Very soon. I'm going crazy. Going stir crazy in my little house here. Well, first floor of a house I'm renting, but you know. Alright. Let's continue. What did I just say? Oh yeah. Don't talk about parading me around. Xiaohua waved Lorina's query aside with a wave of her right arm. It really is such a shame the sickness is going around. If it was only Ada who had fallen ill, the other maids might have been able to manage. But Pauline and Isabel too? Xiaohua tutted. It feels like I'm being cheated. But Pauline's a crafty one. She'd try to wrangle a day off if she got an eyelash stuck in her eye. So you say. But I've seen you hold away in the garden stroking Figaro when you should be working. Xiaohua pressed a finger against her lips. She winked. That's our little secret. Well, I wasn't going to tell anyone. Good. Or I would have to punish you. Xiaohua took hold of Lorina's ponytail and gave it a tug? Alright, chat. This is the Switch version, right? Okay. Imagine having a partner. I just play characters who fantasize about having partners. Oh, you know. 2 degrees removed. Enjoy your appropriately censored Yuri. I will, Fiery Wolf. Thank you for stopping by. Also, wait, I totally missed a follow during the raid. Thank you for the follow, Kumabozu VT. That's a good name. It's really close to Bozo, and I like that. I don't use Twitch, so I'm more than happy to lurk in this side of the chat. See, Muffin? We need people like you to fill out the YouTube chat. Are they gonna... in the middle of Dusty? Chat, please practice safe sex. That includes doing it in a hygienic place that is not dusty and will not get you sick. As was her wont, Lorina pushed her away. But that didn't stop Xiaohua from smiling. A smile that soon abated upon seeing a small, diminutive figure approaching them from the other end of the hall. And Lady Constance came to a halt before the 2 maids, her hands pressed firmly on her hips. On her lips, there was a thin, cruel smile. All of Lady Constance's smiles were cruel, save, perhaps, the small and secretive one she had unwittingly shared with Lorina whilst playing the piano. But that Lady Constance was long gone now. Oh my! Fancy seeing you 2 here. What a stroke of good luck. Good luck? Xiaohua raised an eyebrow. Were you, perchance, looking for us? Oh, why, yes, indeed I was. I'm very flattered. I can't imagine why an esteemed lady such as yourself would worry so over a pair of maids. Normally I wouldn't. Today is a special occasion. Well, lucky us. Lucky you indeed. Lady Constance's smile widened. Ta Hua remained cool and calm, her eyes fixated upon the Lady Constance's countenance. But Lorena quailed. Subconsciously, she found herself seeking refuge behind Ta Hua's back. She wasn't sure what it was, but Lady Constance looked more sadistic today than usual. Was she crowing over her newfound freedom, now that she had no governess to rein her in? Or maybe she was embarrassed Lorena had seen her in such an unusually morose state a few days prior. Worried, perhaps, that Lorena's impression of her had started to soften, with Lady Constance trying to erase any trace of the wistful, lonely little girl who had been playing Liszt's love dream. I'd like you to clean an old bedroom out for me. It hasn't been used in years. My apologies, but we have orders from Miss Smith to clean the hallways. And who has more seniority in this household? Me or that old biddy? Miss Smith's orders are absolute, I'm afraid. We're low on manpower, and Laurie and I have a large list of jobs to do already. Laurie, is it? Lorena didn't like Lady Constance's tone. Something happened to the governess? Oh yeah, she screamed at the most recent governess again and made her leave before a week had even passed. It was alright when Ada used this nickname, embarrassing though it was. But when it came from Lady Constance's lips, that was an entirely different matter. Well, let me make a couple of things clear to the both of you. When I ask you to do something, you should do it. Unless you want me to tell my mother. You're using that threat again? It's not a mere threat. I'll really do it, you know. Yes, I don't doubt that, dear. I could say any number of unpleasant things about you, but at least you always keep your word. And what's that supposed to mean? Nothing. You can tell Lady Leonard if you like. It's no skin off my nose. She'll be cross with you. And she has been cross with me before. But she hasn't fired me yet. That's right, not yet. But she's not happy about the vase. If you put another toe out of line, you'll be in for it. I'm willing to take that risk. Now, if you'll excuse us. Ta Hua turned her back on Lady Constance. Her dark hair fluttered. We have work to attend to. Isn't that right, Laurie? Oh, that's right. Lady Constance's lips curled. You might be willing to take that risk, but what about your precious Laurie? Ta Hua's back stiffened. She turned, her eyes hard and flinty. What was that? I said, what about your precious Laurie? You might be able to survive getting on my mother's bad side, but what about her? What about her? She has a poor reputation already. Mother knows about everything that happened in Hartwell. Lorena winced. Her heart tightened unpleasantly. And she only agreed to take her in because she's close friends with Lady Pickering. If this maid steps out of line, what do you think will happen to her? Lorena knew what would happen. That much was obvious. She'd be fired in a heartbeat. She didn't have the luxury of being indispensable like Ta Hua. Lorena was a plain, uninteresting English girl, and she had a checkered past to boot. I'd be turned out in an instant. That's right. Mother's a benevolent woman, but even she has to draw the line somewhere. It's bad enough that she has a hussy working for her. Lorena drew in an anxious breath. All of a sudden, she felt dizzy. Hussy. Was she really? Pauline had said as much, but she was a fellow maid like Lorena. Her words carried no real weight. When it came from Lady Constance, however... Now, you see here. Tahua stepped forward. She was bristling with indignation. Lorena is not a hussy. She just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. Well, I don't pretend to know all the gory details, but I might be inclined to agree with you. Then why are you being so vile? Because I want the pair of you to do a job for me. I was trying to ask nicely, but if you insist on being stubborn, I'll have to play dirty. It's nothing personal, kid. Sorry, I couldn't resist. It's nothing personal, really. Not personal? That's right. I'm just exercising my authority. I'm gonna dunk this child. Lorena grit her teeth together. How are these attacks impersonal? Dredging up Lorena's past was the most personal thing Lady Constance could have done. Lorena couldn't understand that girl for the life of her. Lady Constance seemed determined to make Lorena's life miserable, but the young maid had no idea why. What had she ever done to her? Now, I want one of the old guest bedrooms on the second floor cleaned up. The one with the beige walls and the paintings. But why? You already have a perfectly good bedroom. My room is on the third floor. It's too close to the attic and has been very cold at nights. I'd like to relocate somewhere warmer. And I bet when the summer heat starts up, you'll wish you were somewhere colder again. Yes, and what of it? You're giving us more work to do. Of course I am. You're maids, aren't you? You're supposed to work. You don't get paid to lounge around at your leisure. Now stop answering back and get to it. I don't have all day, unless you insist on being difficult. Lorena sighed. Her shoulders slumped. I suppose we don't have much of a choice. That's right, you don't. Lady Constance smiled sweetly. Wouldn't this have been much less painful if you'd admitted that from the beginning? What a brat. And here we had a good moment with her earlier, a nice little bonding moment between maid, lesbian maid, and Sappho curious child. But, you know, some apples just stay rotten. Okay, give me 1 second. I need to refill my water real fast. So, like, my throat is killing me. Let me be right back in, like, 20 seconds. Okay. Maybe that was more than 20 seconds. My bad. Wait. Constance has confirmed Cartman has authority? That's crazy. Alright. It's time. Tao Hua and Lorena continued their march down Bly's hallways. Neither spoke, but it was evident Tao Hua was in a foul mood. One only had to look at her back to gauge that much. That conniving brat. How could she be so cruel? Lorena hastened to match Tao Hua's pace. Her face was flushed from exertion. I don't really mind. Really? Taohua turned and glared at Lorena, her eyebrows arched with disdain. Are you quite sure you don't mind, Lorena? Well, you don't mind being treated like dirt, and you don't mind being stepped on, and you don't mind being abused. If you're being honest and you truly don't mind, I must have misjudged you. If you enjoy wallowing in misery, perhaps I never should have intervened on your behalf to begin with. Should I, then, have let you suffer in silence? If you really don't mind, that is. Maybe you silly English maids see it as a badge of honor, and who am I to get in the way of your proud and noble misery? After all, I'm not English. I can't understand how you think. Well, Lorena stammered, tripping over her words. She'd never seen Taohua lose her cool like this before, and the effect was frightening. When Taohua was angry, she was even scarier than Lady Constance. Though Lorena didn't particularly like the young madam, she was at least used to her foul tempers. This, on the other hand, was new. I do mind, I suppose, but getting angry won't solve anything. Not at me. Taohua's expression contorted, her eyebrows furrowed, her fingers trembled. For a few moments, Lorena feared she'd made the situation worse. But then Taohua exhaled, and the tension dissipated. But then Taohua exhaled, and the tension dissipated from her body. Hi, Winter. Welcome to the stream. You're right, my little Lori. I'm sorry. It's fine. I'm angry too, but being angry never helps. You're quite right. Of course, I know. Taohua ran a hand through her hair. He looked distracted. Still, it's rare Lady Constance is able to put one over on me. I'm sorry. It's because you were looking out for me. Lorena bit her lower lip. If I wasn't there, she wouldn't have had any chips to bargain with. Oh, come now, Lori. Taohua smiled fondly, almost like her usual self, and prodded Lorena's cheek with her finger. You're not a bargaining chip. You're a human girl. And one of the most charming ones I've ever met. Do you really think so? I know so. I pride myself on being a connoisseur of pretty girls. Chat, she's just like me for real. She's just like me for real. Yeah! Can we get a 1 in the chat from all the connoisseurs of pretty girls? You lech! But Lorena was smiling despite herself. I'm the one who should apologize. I shouldn't have taken my anger out on you. You didn't do anything wrong. I was just so angry when Lady Constance brought up your past like that. The horrible little devil she is. I couldn't help myself. It's fine. I understand. It isn't really fine. Taohua exhaled. I've always had a bit of a temper. Sometimes I let it get the better of me. Then at least we have something in common. I suppose. Taohua smiled. She poked Lorena's cheek again. Don't think I haven't forgotten what you said to me in the kitchen, Lori. What? You told me that you hated me. I could hardly believe my ears. Well, Lorena's face flushed. That was before I got to know you. And you realized Despite being an oriental flower. How Hwamik. I hope you all know when I said the line oriental flower, I literally did air quotes. Tao Hwa made quotation marks with her fingers. I am not, in fact, a witch or a cannibal. I never thought you were a cannibal. What about a witch? The thought did cross my mind from time to time. Silly. Tao Hwa ruffled the top of Lorina's head. We're both as bad as each other then. I don't think I'm nearly as sadistic as you are. Maybe not, no. But I wasn't always like this either. No? No. This is what happens when you spend your whole life being treated like an exhibit in a museum. Tao Hwa spread her arms wide, as though inviting Lorina to look. You start getting bitter. I imagine Lady Constance doesn't help. Does she? Hell. I've had it up to here with that girl. Tao Hwa raised one hand above her head and Lorina giggled. So too did Tao Hwa. The two women stood in the hallway together, laughing until Tao Hwa finally came to her senses. She sighed. Sadly, we have no time to waste. Miss Smith gave us a lot of tasks to do already, and cleaning out that old bedroom will take a few hours at least. I don't believe anybody's used that room for a good 3 years. It's a pain, but it'll get done faster if we work together. My. You are a little soldier. There's no sense in complaining about work. We were told we had to do it, so we have to. That is an admirable trait of yours, Lori, but I do worry. You shouldn't let other people exploit you so. If I don't let them exploit me, I'll get fired. I don't have an unlimited supply of chances to use up, unlike you. Maybe I'm being unfair then. I'm not saying this to get at you, you know. I might come across as being harsh, but I only say these things because I worry. Like a parent? Not quite like a parent, no. My feelings for you aren't nearly so chaste. You know, I just got here, but I gotta go get some illicit late-night fast food. Illicit fast food? That's exciting, Winter. Go enjoy your food. Come back soon. Constantly reads Lorina's mind, also Tao Hwa, I'm not a witch. You know. Don't you know? When you get past a certain age and you're a lesbian, you get powers. Like a succubus, you know? They came free with your Xbox. Tao Hwa pressed a finger beneath Lorina's chin. She raised the young maid's head so their eyes were level, piercing green on dark brown. Lorina blushed. Tao Hwa really was close. She was so close. Lorina could see her individual eyelashes in stark detail. I know we're on a tight schedule, my little Lori, but I think I need to let off some steam. What do you mean? People can't work efficiently when they're frustrated. It's important to take breaks every once in a while. Then, Lorina glanced to one side shyly. Her face was burning. What are you suggesting? What indeed? Tao Hwa dipped her head, pressing her lips against Lorina's. The smell of bergamot and orange peel grew stronger and stronger. It was almost dizzying. Lorina knew it was unwise to let Tao Hwa kiss her in the middle of the hallway. Though most of the maids were sick, Lady Constance could still have been sulking around. But at that moment, Lorena didn't care. She couldn't bring herself to. Instead, she stood up on her tiptoes and pressed her lips more firmly against Tao Hua's. The two kissed for a while, sharing their saliva before Tao Hua drew back. Her eyes were dark and half-lidded. I think we need a bit more privacy. What for? Tao Hua pressed her index finger against Lorena's lips. They were slightly swollen from kissing and shone with the older maid's saliva. That, my little Lori, is a secret. The 13th of May, Friday. Alright, chat. I'm just saying. If we were playing the Steam version, there would have been a lot that scene would have been a lot longer. That, my little Lori, is expunged at the behest of Nintendo of America. Time to install the adult patch on my Switch? No. We're not getting banned on Twitch today. Not today. Please, not today. I just got added to a team. I'm not trying to get banned right away. Oh no, don't tell me they're gonna hold hands. They've been holding hands a long time. Have they? I don't know if we've had an explicit scene of them holding hands together. Can you imagine kissing somebody and not holding their hand? That's blasphemous. The days passed, and the Maids of Bly were still suffering from a mysterious malaise. They weren't the only ones either. Several of the valets had fallen ill with the mysterious fever, and even the indomitable Miss Smith had taken her bed with a fierce headache that refused to shift. In Miss Smith's moment of need, Estelle Wood's practical housekeeping guide had failed her. Now, the only members of the serving class who were able to work were Lorena, Tao Hua, and Effie. As such, the majority of jobs had piled onto these three maids, like a particularly fierce snowdrift. Come Friday morning, both Lorena and Effie could be found in the drawing room. Lorena was sweeping the floor while Effie was polishing the large, wooden globe that stood in a corner of the room. The globe hadn't been used since Miss Ingrid left, and it had accumulated a good deal of dust. When Effie drew the dampened cloth across the wooden surface, a dense gray cloud swirled through the air. Effie turned her head away, tears beating in her eyes, and sneezed. Achoo! The sneeze was loud enough to make Lorena jump. Effie was so quiet, it was unusual for her to make any kind of noise. Lorena had quite forgotten she was there. Bless you? Effie sniffed and nodded her head in silent thanks, but that was all. She said nothing else. Lorena shifted from foot to foot awkwardly. She wasn't accustomed to being alone with Effie, and she had no idea what to do. What to say? This might have been easier if she was Lieselot. Everybody liked Lieselot, Effie included. The two of them were rather close. To Lorena, however, Effie was an enigma. She didn't know if they had anything in common. What exactly did Effie like? Now that she had the chance, she might as well ask. So, Effie, I've been at Bly for half a year now, but we still don't know much about each other. Effie blinked. She tilted her head to one side. I was wondering, is there anything in particular you're interested in? Effie shrugged. No? Effie shook her head. Lorena resisted the urge to throw herself on the floor in defeat. Then, do you have any hobbies or interests? Effie shook her head again. What about your family? What's your family like? Another shake of the head. You mean you don't have a family? A shrug. Either you have a family or you don't. You can't shrug. Unless she was an orphan. That was always possible. It wasn't so uncommon for women to have children, realize they were too poor to provide for them, then send them to orphanages. If that really was the case, it was no wonder Effie said so very little. She must have been raised from youth to keep her mouth closed. Lorena had heard stories about orphanages. Apparently the children had to wear rags and were fed gruel, and if they so much as asked for more? Or maybe that was something from a Charles Dickens story. Either way, Lorena now felt quite guilty for asking. I'm sorry if I was being insensitive. I know there are some things that can't be spoken about. There was a small pause. Then, like you and Tao Hua, she knows! Hi, Dr. Church, welcome to the stream. Lorena stared. Her eyes were as round as ostrich eggs. What do you mean? Effie smiled. She looked proud of herself, though Lorena couldn't fathom why. Neither did she want to. You and Tao Hua. What about us? You get on well. I don't know what you're talking about. It's all right. Effie pressed a finger against her lips. I'm good at keeping secrets. She knows. The 15th of May, Sunday.
Then was Jesus led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be a Jew.
The congregation at St. Mary's that Sunday was a good deal thinner than usual. Like Bly, Ellesmere had been visited by a great plague, rendering half the villagers abed with high temperatures. Even Reverend Marner looked worse for wear. His skin was grayer than his hair, and it was sagging about his mouth. Despite this, however, the good Reverend continued on, much as Jesus had wandered through the desert, all the while being tempted by Satan. And then...
And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, a Jew.
But though it was a valiant effort, it wasn't quite enough. Reverend Marner's words were peppered with sneezes, and he had to keep pausing. Lorena, who'd been taught to say bless you after every single sneeze, tried to resist the urge. She was sure Reverend Marner wouldn't have appreciated it, and, in any case, it was impolite to talk during church.
And when the tempter came to him, he said, Achoo!
Lorena was unsure if she would ever uncover what the tempter had said. The church echoed with the repeated sounds of coughing. It was starting to give Lorena a headache.
Then the devil taketh him up into the holy Achoo!
Effie was the only other maid from Bly in attendance, and Lorena rather wished she wasn't. For once, she almost desired Pauline and Isabel's company. That would be preferable to the knowing looks Effie kept shooting her. Why did Effie seem so very pleased with herself?
Jesus said unto him, It is written again, Thou shalt not Achoo!
Effie was more dangerous than Lorena had ever known. Actually really funny, because I thought Effie and Lieselot had a thing going on, but I might have been wrong. Following the church service, Lorena happened to come across Tao Hua on the village square. Oh, my little Lori. Coming back from church? That's right. Lorena glanced at Effie. Her fellow maids seemed to be trying, with limited success, to repress peals of laughter. What did she find so very funny? Are you here about your violin?
Indeed. Emily said it was nearly ready, didn't she? Oh yes, that's right. After all the excitement that had occurred that week, Lorena had quite forgotten. Taohua pondered, one finger pressed against her lower lip. As the indomitable Miss Smith has fallen ill, and even Mr. Lester is looking rather peaky, there should be nobody at Bly who will scold you if you're an hour or two late in returning. What do you think? Taohua's eyes shimmered mischievously. Would you care to accompany me, my little Lori? Effie sniggered again in a rather unladylike manner. Though she had a hand pressed against her mouth, the giggle still escaped. Taohua blinked. What on earth is the matter with you? I'm fine. You don't look it. It's an allergic reaction. To what? The sun? How can one be allergic to the sun? I'm a vampire. Then how were you able to go to church? Effie pressed a finger against her lips. Apparently, that was a secret. The most troubling thing was, if Effie really were a vampire, Lorena wouldn't have disbelieved her. There was something rather disconcerting about her fellow maid, particularly her pale skin and her low, monotone way of speaking. Vampirism aside, would you mind too terribly if I borrowed my little Lori for a while, Effie? Effie shook her head. You weren't going to drink her blood? I only drink the blood of virgins. Excuse me? Then it's all settled. Let's go, my little Lori. Yes, I'm sorry, Effie? Don't apologize. Effie gave Lorena a less than covert wink. Lorena could only sigh. For a girl who rarely spoke, Effie could be awfully tiring. Effie is the goofiest ally anyone could ask for. Oh my goodness, what is wrong with you? But I like it. Ah, my baby. How I missed you. Taohua stared at her violin with wide eyes. She was so overjoyed, her face sparkled. For such an aloof woman, at that moment, she looked oddly adorable. Lorena had seen Taohua smile before, but those smiles would be more accurately classed as smirks. It was rare for the older woman to smile so openly, without abandon, like a small child upon their first encounter with an elephant in London Zoo. Emily, meanwhile, looked deeply unimpressed. Oh, this is too much. Emily, stop being callous. Well, I apologize, but this is rather ridiculous. If I wanted to watch such an unabashed display of melodrama, I'd go to the West End. How cynical. You don't know the half of it. When I took her to see Romeo and Juliet at Haymarket, she fell fast asleep. While poor Juliet was professing her love for Romeo's still-warm corpse, this little terror was snoring and drooling on my shoulder. I do not drool. How would you know? You were dead to the world, even more so than the Romeo on the stage. Grrr. Emily grit her teeth together, her face flushed scarlet. The redness of her cheeks clashed horribly with the pink of her clothes, and the sorry sight was almost enough to make Lorena laugh. She really might have, if laughing at Emily didn't seem like a swift way to go about getting kicked in the shins. What a funny little girl. She wants to be a blue-blooded lady, but she has all the sentiment of a rock. A sedimentary rock? Not even that. A piece of flint, I was thinking. I'm not a little girl. I'm 16 years of age. That's plenty. Many girls are married younger, it's true. But I don't think it's a particularly wise practice. You might be old enough to sign your life away, but that doesn't make you any more of an adult in my eyes. She's also rather delicate. I always tell her to eat more greens, but she just won't listen. All she cares about are cakes and sweet pastries. That's because you spoil her. Well, I would rather she love me for buying her almond rings than hate me for forcing her to eat boiled spinach. Things are better in this world to hate people over than spinach, surely. No, sorry. There are better things in this world to hate people over than spinach, surely. You're too soft, Theodora. What can I say? Love does strange things to us all. Please! Emily rolled her eyes yet again. If she weren't such a lady, she would have accompanied the gesture with some faux vomiting sound effect. What sort of noblewoman would, in the midst of a tea party with her fellows, pretend to regurgitate their lunch all over the carpet? I think it's foolish to care so much about a silly violin. Everyone has things they care about, Emmy. Yes, but most people don't care so about objects. Possessions might be nice, but they don't necessarily make one happy. Oh? Am I being lectured about the follies of material wealth from a spoiled little girl like you? Like I already said, I'm not a little girl, and you have no right to dismiss what I say either. I'll try not to be dismissive, but it's hard to listen to such words from you, my dear Emily, when you're so very obsessed about your own appearance. All right, fine, I admit it. I like wearing pretty clothes and fine shoes and drinking expensive tea. I'm a shallow person, it's true, but I don't attach such significance to all that stuff. I'm not using them to fill a void. And what void is it you're speaking of, may I ask? Emily's response was instant, delivered in a tone cool enough to freeze the trumpet-shaped heads off an entire congregation of golden daffodils. I don't covet material goods because I'm lonely. Emily. Nobody asked you, big sister. I am talking to Tao Hua. In that case, I suppose I'll leave you to it. Theodora turned to Lorena, who'd been rather left out of the conversation, and gave her a warm smile. Would you like another spot of tea? While Theodora chatted amiably with Lorena, the bitter conversation between Tao Hua and Emily continued. Lorena was grateful for Theodora's kindness, but she couldn't focus on what she was saying, or on the taste of the tea Theodora poured for her. She was too busy watching Tao Hua. If that's what you think, I'll make no attempt to change your mind. But I'm not lonely. No, Emily snorted. If you're not lonely, why have you clung to this instrument for so long? You take better care of it than you do your relationships with other people. Oh, but other people are so dreadfully dull. I'd rather not waste my time. But that's no way to live. And since when did you start caring about me so much? I don't. Not really. It sounds to me like you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't be so concerned. I'm not concerned. I know you dislike living in Shropshire, and I rather dislike it too. Unlike me, however, you have the ability to move. Why don't you? I know your violin is your baby, but there are people who would pay a good deal to add it to their collections. My sister has connections, and she could contact some of our father's old clients who'd be most interested in owning a violin made in Cremona. The violin is worth around 600 euro? Euro? But who knows? It could fetch a higher price. You could do an awful lot with all that money. You could move, you know. Find a new life. A better life. Oh, it's pounds. The violin is worth around 600 pounds, but who knows? Sorry, I'm painfully American, you know? Hi, Evan Manicure. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for stopping by. Hi, Winter. Welcome back with illicit late night fast food. What'd you get? What did you get? What did you get? What did you get? What did you get? Tell us what you got. Let us shame you as a group. Pounds, not euros. I'm American. The most exposure to other money I get is going up to Toronto and getting Canadian dollars, which are still just dollars. Burger King churro fries? No, that sounds tasty as hell. And also, like, death. Like I'm gonna get a heart attack. Good old Americans. Yeah. The violin is worth around 600 pounds, but who knows? It could fetch a higher price. You could do an awful lot with all that money. You could move, you know. Find a new life. A better life. There has to be a life better than this out there somewhere. There has to be. Oh, Emmy. You really hate it here so much? I've already told you, I despise it. British pounds? Thank you, Muffin McFluffin. You silly goose. I'm not staying here solely so I can make you miserable. You do know that, don't you? I know. We can't leave. Our parents left this shop to us. We have to look after it for them. We owe them that much. We don't owe them anyway. They were the ones who left us. They didn't ask us how we felt. For all we know, they could be dead already. We received a letter from them only last week. It's only a matter of time. It's been 5 years and they still seem to be in high spirits. Wait, did I misread that? No, yeah. It's only a matter of time. Blah blah. Maybe they are for now, but it won't last. They've gone to a heathen country, sister. I mean, Zanzibar. That doesn't sound like the kind of place that would appear in an atlas. It sounds like a made-up fantasy world, but with more deadly insects. Be that as it may, they appear to be enjoying themselves. We need to give them time. But... Emily sniffled. I've waited enough, and I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of stagnating. I'm tired and I don't understand. I simply can't stand to see somebody who could leave here if she wanted to. If she wanted, refusing to do so out of, I don't know really, complacency, laziness, fear of the unknown? The words you're searching for, Emily, are nostalgic sentiment. That sounds like an excuse to me. Oh, well, perhaps. You see, you are making excuses. You could leave, but you refuse to. Why? Because I would hate to miss out on your excellent company. Don't say that. I know you don't even like me. You've never liked me. That's quite a harsh accusation to level at a girl, Emily. When have I ever said I disliked you? Can you recall a time? I certainly can't. No, you don't say it, but that's what all upper-class ladies do. They never say what they think. They just make inferences and snide remarks and look down on you. You've always been looking down on me. I'm flattered that you think of me as an upper-class lady, despite my position as a maid. Of course you're an upper-class lady. Otherwise you wouldn't have this violin. Paupers can't afford such things. I could have been called that once, but... despite your impassioned pleading, I can't sell it and leave. I simply can't. Because of the sentimental value? You're making a critical error in judgment, Emmy. For all the years you've known me, I fear you don't really understand me. And you failed to account for one crucial thing. Oh? And what's that? Just because you're lonely? With your parents overseas and your older sister the only friendly face you know? That doesn't mean I am. I'm perfectly content with my life. You see... Oh no. Hold on, I need water. We just heard from them last week after being gone for 5 years. They could have died in the last week. That is how it is. Accidentally finding a Canadian quarter every now and then. Actually, funny story of that. I went to go do laundry a few weeks ago, like at a laundromat, and I'm like, oh, I have all these coins in my wallet. Surely I can just use those, right? I dumped them all out. It's like 7 Canadian quarters and like 6 $2 pieces and one $1 piece, all Canadian money. I'm just like, none of these are American quarters. Thankfully, they took card. Tao Hua looked at Lorena, who was toying with the now lukewarm cup of Darjeeling Theodora had poured her. Tao Hua looked at her and smiled. How could I be lonely when I have my dear little Lori? My dear little Lori. The two women walked back through the countryside, ears of corn brushing their legs. The corn rustled with their every footfall, compacting and compressing beneath the soles of their shoes. The sky overhead was a pure, peerless blue, festooned with light blue clouds. The sun shone, making the corn glow golden. It was almost like the entire countryside had been bathed in a golden glow. But Lorena wasn't in the mood for sentiment. There were too many questions she wanted to ask. Too many questions left unanswered. Emily really does care about you. What makes you say that? Everything. Don't take it too seriously, my little Lori. She tries to act prim and proper, but she's quite passionate deep down inside. Sometimes, that passion spills over and causes quite a scene. I think there's more to it than that. Lorena frowned. Emily had said much the same thing when she'd run into her last week. Emily, no matter how snippy she was, really did care about Tao Hua. Maybe it was because they'd known one another for so long. Ever since Emily was a little girl. More than a decade. Could it be, to Emily, Tao Hua was no mere client of her father's or Theodora's friend? Maybe Tao Hua was like a big sister, but vastly more reliable than her real one. Lorena herself knew how strong familial bonds could be. She had 3 sisters, and she loved them dearly. Lorena could never hope to compete with Emily. I keep getting tongue-tied today. Lorena could never hope to compete with Emily's affection. It just wasn't possible. Hey, Tao Hua? What is it, my little Lori? What was Emily like when she was a young girl? She was a brat. What did she do? She was spoiled by her grandfather, and her father, and her mother, and her sister, so of course she was a brat. She always wanted the best of everything, even back then, and wore the most ridiculous, ostentatious outfits. She demanded that she be allowed to wear full-skirted frocks in the summer, with long sleeves, then complained that it was too hot and pitched the most unimaginable temper tantrums. You sound so jaded. Rightfully so. He was incredibly irritating. More than Lady Constance? Nobody could be more irritating than Lady Constance. Maybe I'm doing her a disservice. Emily was a stubborn, flighty child, but she was amusing at the very least. I never once wanted to slap her. Unlike Lady Constance? You don't want to know what I would do to her, provided I could get away with it. You might be right. I don't want to know. Not when you pull a face like that. Oh? Am I scaring you, my little Lori? A little? That's not necessarily a bad thing. A mistress needs to instill fear in the hearts of her pets from time to time. Still. Taohua glanced at the sky fitfully. Though she'd been reunited with her beloved violin, her expression was oddly uneasy. I'm sorry I got mad at you a few days ago, Lori. Really, I am. Are you still thinking about that? It has been weighing on my mind. Don't worry about it so much. Lorena looked at the ground. Her face flushed a dusky pink. You more than made up for it. Chat. Oh? Taohua's eyes sparkled. You mean the sex was so good that you forgive me? I suppose so, but you don't need to say it like that. Lorena glanced about at their immediate surroundings. At the fields of corn, the babbling brook that ran alongside it, and the pale blue sky that was thick with winged insects. Not in public, anyway. But teasing you is so much fun. Sometimes I wish you wouldn't. But you liked it when I made you climax. Yes, Lorena looked around shyly, as though she half expected Pauline and Isabel to pop up out of the ears of corn like meerkats. Yeah, have a good night, Muffin McFluffin. Thanks for stopping by and thanks for chatting. I did like it, yes. Good. I like it when you're honest, Lori. Taohua smiled and ruffled the top of Lorena's head. Lorena pouted. Her cheeks were still dyed bright red. I wish I hadn't brought it up now. All right, I'll spare you the mortification. For now, at least. How benevolent you are, oh great mistress. Yes, I am rather great, aren't I? Taohua smiled and coiled a strand of dark hair around her finger. But heavy thoughts soon impeded on her good spirits, and she frowned. But I meant what I said before. What? I really am sorry I acted so cruelly. You've been treated badly enough in the past. And you hardly need me giving you a hard time, too. It's fine. I'm used to it. But you shouldn't be. I don't want you to be. I know I can be a difficult woman. Emily told me as much. He was probably right, but I'm not lying when I say I care for you. Do you really mean it? Really? I don't say things I don't mean. Sometimes it can be hard to tell. Then how about this? Taohua took Lorena's right hand in her own, twining their fingers together like vines. Her palm was soft and warm, and the unexpected touch made Lorena jolt in surprise. Taohua? Lori? Taohua's fingers squeezed tighter. I promise I'll take good care of you, no matter what. I admit in the beginning, I pursued with no real purpose other than alleviating my own boredom. But over time, my feelings changed. I care about you. You're important to me, and Taohua smiled softly. You really are adorable. I am not. I fail to see what you hope to gain by telling such barefaced lies, but all right. I won't question it, but I will kiss you. And, true to her word, Hao Hua pressed a gentle kiss against Lorina's mouth. Oh, sweet. 16th of May, Monday. The following day, Lorina found herself in Lady Constance's bedroom. It was not her old bedroom located on the 3rd floor of Bly, but the new one she and Tao Hua had prepared a few days ago. Despite her sudden shift in lodgings, however, Lady Constance had still fallen victim to the sickness that spread through Bly's halls. Her blonde hair, so typically neat and straight, now curled about her face in a most disorderly manner. For once, Lady Constance looked less like a living doll and more like a wild child. A regular girl Friday. Oh, this tastes terrible. Lady Constance pushed the tray away from her with a scowl. Is there something not to your liking, miss? Weren't you listening? I already said it tastes horrible. Take it away. But didn't you ask for porridge? Yes, I did. I asked for porridge, not this mush. The porridge looked perfectly edible to Lorina. It smelt perfectly edible, too. The aroma of the mixed oats and warm milk was mouth-watering. You shouldn't turn your nose up at it. You haven't even tried it yet. Are you trying to tell me what to do? I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm merely suggesting. Well, don't. If I wanted the suggestions of a lowly maid, I'd ask. Not that I ever would. I might be sick, but I'm not insane. The cook worked hard on that, you know. As she should. I'm not going to praise her for doing her job, and I'm not going to forgive you for not doing yours. But Lady Constance, no buts. You're not being paid to talk back to me. Now take this slop away and bring me something else. What do you want? Something sweeter. The cook did add some sugar. Not enough. You didn't taste it. I don't need to taste it. Why do you want me to taste something I don't like? Did you slip some hemlock in there while the cook's back was turned? What? No. I know you hate me. If you thought you could get away with it, you'd kill me in a heartbeat. Lorina had experienced quite enough of Lady Constance's bizarre mood swings over the month, and she wasn't sure how to react. Should she get angry? Should she be scared? Should she try instead to be friendly? She wasn't sure. Emotions waged war inside Lorina's head, but in the end, practically came out the winner. It was hard to be too terribly frightened of Lady Constance when she was lying in bed with an acute fever. Please don't talk such nonsense. I'm a maid. I get paid to serve you. If there was no Lady Constance to serve, I wouldn't get paid. That doesn't make me feel better at all. But it is the truth. You maids never tell the truth. It's always, yes, miss, and no, miss, and whatever will please you the most, miss. But you don't mean it. You don't really want to please me. Then what would you prefer I say? You don't like it when I talk back to you. Of course not. It's the height of rudeness. You should learn your place. Well then. Lorina sighed. Lady Constance was always difficult. She was being uniquely challenging today. Maybe it was because she'd fallen ill. She was still one of the foulest girls Lorina had ever met. But she did look rather small, lying in that large bed of hers. Her bed was so big it swallowed her up, so she looked even littler than ever before. Even more alone. Do you think your porridge would taste better with jam? The cook said the blackberry bushes in the garden are groaning with fruit. Effie and Lisa-Lot were picking blackberries a while ago, but there's plenty left. Then you should make use of them. What's the point in having all those blackberry bushes if you don't pick fruit? Lorena groaned. Had she given herself more work to do? Lorena blinked. Her eyelashes fluttered as the flavor spread across her tongue. It was tart, with just a hint of sweetness, but not sweet enough to be saccharine. It slid down her throat smoothly when she swallowed, but a slight tang remained at the tip of her tongue. I didn't know you could cook. There are many things you don't know about me, my little Lori. I'm a maid of many talents. I can see that now, but why are you making Lady Constance's jam? Isn't that the cook's job? She has more important things to worry about than Lady Constance's whims. I think she's grown tired of bending over backwards to please her. It must be hard for the cook to bend over at all, let alone backward, with that bosom of hers. But she's only been ill for a day. Yes, but she's been making a lot of unreasonable demands. The cook is a proud woman. That isn't to say she's a bad woman, because she's not, despite her temper, but she cares a lot about her craft. Having her porridge sent back uneaten must have been the last straw. Did she ask you to make it in her stead? Haha nodded. Couldn't one of the scullery maids do it? Bessie or Eliza? If those were, indeed, their names. But Taohua soon put an end to this fancy. Those silly fools. I doubt it. Their heads are hollower than my violin. But they work in the kitchens every day. Sweeping floors and soaping pots. They don't know the first thing about cookery. In any case, they're both abed at the moment with this fearsome plague. Oh, I see. My culinary skills, on the other hand, are rather well renowned. If they're good enough for the cook, then Lord knows she has high standards. They should be good enough for Lady Constance. I don't think she'll appreciate it. She's already accused me of trying to poison her, and that was before you got involved. She did she? Yes. I don't think she believes it, but she must be in quite a poor mood. It's natural. She's at that age where children start thinking about the great unknown. From what I remember, I was also quite the maudlin 12-year-old. Did you think your servants were making regular attempts at your life, too? I didn't have servants, Laurie. I wasn't rich. But Lady Whittier is irrelevant. Fortunately, Lady Constance's concerns over her own life may mean all hope is not lost. What do you mean? If she thinks you might want to kill her, she must realize, however vaguely, that she is quite the killable little girl. You really do have a way with words. I know. I may as well be Mephistopheles. What? They're a character in a play. Faust, by... Chat, how do you pronounce that? Goethe? Eve? Goethe? Go eat? I never knew. I'm just gonna say Goethe if nobody says anything. I've been described as a very killable girl. Winter? Are you okay? They're a character in a play. Faust by Goethe. Wagner wrote an overture based on it. You know I'm not familiar with fancy things like that. It's alright, my little Laurie. We can't all be as cultured as moi. You are such a show-off. I apologize. We find my many skills too intimidating. It must be difficult for you, having to work alongside a woman so dutiful, reliable, ever eager to please. And ever humble, of course. Of course. Lorena shook her head. Ridiculous. I don't see what's so ridiculous about it. I am dutiful and reliable and eager to please, as you should know only too well. Forgive me for my cynicism. Then, do you want a reminder? What do you mean? What do you think I mean? Hua grinned mischievously, letting the tip of her tongue run against her lower lip. Don't be so disgusting. But spending quality time with my little Lori is never disgusting. I love taking care of you. I don't need taking care of. But I thought you said it made you happy when I made you climax. Maybe it does, but there's a time and a place for these conversations. I think this is as good a time and place as we can hope for. Nobody else is around. But Lady Constance is waiting for her porridge. I'm sure a bit of waiting won't kill her. That girl needs to learn that the world doesn't revolve around her. Why don't we look upon it as revenge? Revenge? For showing us up the other day. What do you think? Lorena dipped her head. Her cheeks were pink. These two are horny! They're going at it like every day. I wish that were me, for real, for real. He wanted to get closer to Hua. He wanted to be closer to Hua than anybody else was. Even Emily. Particularly Emily. Hua had told Lorena she was dear to her yesterday. Not expecting the sudden confession, Lorena's face had flooded bright red, and her heart had stuttered inside her chest. Nobody had ever told her that before, other than her mother. Not even Arthur Pickering, with his myriad attempts at seduction, had told Lorena she was dear or special or beloved. He'd never told her she was important. He'd just told her she had nice hair. But, at the same time, was having sex really the right way to forge a new understanding with the older woman? It was intimate, yes, but at the same time, Lorena couldn't help but worry Hua was using it as a distraction. A deflection. To stop Lorena asking questions. She was letting Lorena get close to her physically, but not emotionally. Lorena might have been special to Hua, and maybe she was beloved. But that didn't mean Hua trusted her. Not as Lorena had trusted Hua. Lorena had told Hua about her past after all, uncomfortable though it was. But Hua had yet to offer her the same courtesy. Why was that? Lori? Hua gave Lorena a curious look. You were away with the fairies there. Oh, I'm sorry. Lorena shook her head. Her ponytail bounced. My mind was just wandering, I guess. I could see that for myself. I think I know what you need. What? Lorena looked at Hua cautiously. Hua responded, in turn, with a smile. You need to eat something sweet. That should clear away your worries. Hua dipped the silvery spoon into the jar of blackberry jam, the lid already unscrewed and lying on the table, and proffered it to Lorena. Do you want to try? I already had some, thank you. But I'm sure it wasn't enough to fill you up. You're a growing girl. Don't talk about me like that. I'm not a turnip at a farmer's market. Of course you aren't. I wouldn't try to flirt so desperately with a turnip, even if it did happen to be unusually attractive. That kind of romance would be too much, even for me. Oh, you. Lorena sighed. If she was pitted against Tao Hua, she just couldn't win. It was impossible. If you really want me to eat the jam, then... Oh, that's cute! Lorena opened her mouth obediently. Tao Hua slid the spoon inside. The bone china clinked against Lorena's teeth, making a shiver run down her spine. It was cool. The jam, meanwhile, was just as delicious as it had been before. It was tart, with an undercurrent of sugary sweetness not so strong as to be overpowering. It was just right, like the story with the 3 bears. Is it good? Really good. Is that so? I might have to taste it for myself. What are you... Tao Hua lumped forwards and claimed Lorena's lips with her own. Hey, Big Fat V2, thanks for the follow. You taste like blackberries. Of course I do. I was eating blackberry jam. As sensible as ever, my little Lori. But given you're so very sensible, maybe we should stop for now. But you don't want to stop, do you? Whatever makes you think that? Because kissing me excites you, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. Not really. Lorena tried to protest, but her rebuttal was half-hearted at best. It was irritating, but Tao Hua was right. Kissing the older woman did excite her. It made her want more. Much, much more. But was being close physically enough? Sometimes it felt like it was, but... Oh, what did it matter? As maids, the pair of them had busy schedules. It was rare to find a private moment like this, alone, where they could be together. If Lorena let the chance slip by, she wasn't sure she'd be able to spend Tao Hua with She wasn't sure she'd be able to spend time with Tao Hua like this again. Alright, have it your way. You mean you want to be with me? Yes. I want to be with you too. I missed it. Oh, my little Lori, you should have said. Tao Hua pressed a kiss against the tip of Lorena's nose. You know, I rather missed it too. You did? And now, why don't I check just how much you missed me? Yeah, there's no way there's only 4 uncensored sex scenes in the adult patch of this. Also, hi again, Big Fat. Thanks for coming by. So, how is it? Lady Constance pushed a mouthful of porridge from one cheek to the other. The way her cheeks bulged with their burden was almost comical, but Lorena didn't laugh. It was difficult to laugh when Lady Constance was so very temperamental. The smallest of missteps could, quite easily, result in that porcelain bowl of porridge being thrown at her head. Fortunately, I suppose it doesn't taste too terrible. Lady Constance seemed to be satisfied with Lorena's offering. For now. And why do you look so gormless, maid? Has your soul exited your body? Chat. Why is gormless such a funny word, though? I fucking hate this word because it's so funny. Why is it like that? Oh my god. Okay. No, I was just thinking. About what exactly? Oh, what a beautiful day it is today. That's all. The jam and the porridge are acceptable, but it took you almost 2 hours. It took you almost 2 hours to serve me. Why is that? You know what? I gotta hand it to them. At least, you know, they got stamina. I had to pick the berries from the garden myself, and that took some time. And we didn't have any jam to hand, so it had to be made from scratch. The cook has worked in the household for a long time, and she can make jam very quickly. It isn't hard. What would you know about making jam? You've never made anything in your privileged little life except caustic comments designed to upset people. That was what Lorena thought, but she did not say it. She had more sense than that. The cook wasn't the one who made the jam, actually. She was otherwise engaged. Then who? Lorena knew telling Lady Constance the truth was a bad idea, but suddenly she was seized by a burst of madness. Lady Constance had praised Tao Hua's jam. She hadn't known who had made it, but she'd still praised it. Maybe, if she knew Tao Hua was the one behind it, she might warm towards the parlor maid a little. She could at least try, couldn't she? So Lorena inhaled, squared her shoulders, and said, Tao Hua. Tao Hua? Lady Constance pulled a face. She looked utterly disgusted. All of a sudden, I don't feel very well. You haven't been feeling well since this morning. Well, I feel even more unwell now. I'm not hungry. I watched Tao Hua prepare that jam, you know. She didn't add anything strange to it. It won't kill you. I hope not, because if I start to feel sicker, I'll tell Mama and she won't be impressed. If you start feeling sicker, it'll be because you are sick, and you haven't been eating properly out of sheer stubbornness. I haven't been eating properly because you're all incompetent. And how are we all incompetent exactly? First the cook makes me porridge that's too cold, and then it's too hot, and now this third batch is completely inedible. There's nothing inedible about it. It's fine. It's not fine. I hate that parlor maid, and I refuse to eat anything she's touched. Who knows what kind of foreign diseases she might have? She's been living in England longer than you've been alive. Why should I care? It doesn't make any difference to me. She's still a freak. Lady Constance, how dare you compare me to a woman like that? How dare you? It's bad enough that you fawn over her like she's the second coming of Christ. But now you're trying to convert me, too. I won't have it. I won't. But shut up. Just shut up. Lady Constance picked up the bowl of porridge that was sitting on the tray and flung it against the wall. That evening, a thoroughly exhausted Lorena returned to the servants' quarters. She'd only intended to stay there for a short while, to finish off a letter she'd been writing to her mother, but something made her pause. Liselot was sitting up in bed, her face flushed with fever, and Effie was perched neatly by her side. In Effie's hand was a glass jar filled with a thick, blackish-purple substance that looked awfully familiar. In fact, it was far too familiar. Unbidden, Lorena's face flushed bright scarlet. Here you are. Say, ah. Ah! Lisa-Lot opened her mouth obligingly, and Effie slipped a wooden spoon laden with blackberry jam into her mouth. Lorena hung back for a while, watching this little performance. Effie continued to feed Lisa-Lot like an invalid. Every once in a while, she paused to take the Swiss maid's temperature, or thread her fingers through her hair. Lisa-Lot giggled and allowed Effie to coddle her. This jam is so sweet, it reminds me of the Alps. Did you eat jam in the Alps? Oh yes, the Alps are filled with bilberries in the summer. They are everywhere, and all the hedgerows and all the children pick them until their fingers are stained with purple juice. My mother used to send me out to collect bilberries in a wicker basket, and then she would make the most delicious jam in our kitchen. How does this compare? It is delicious. I feel like I am back at home. When I close my eyes, I can almost see it. Lisa-Lot's pale blonde eyelashes pressed together like a thick curtain. I can see the butterflies fluttering in the breeze, and the clear blue skies, and the flowers. Oh, so many flowers, spread out like a picnic blanket. And, oh, the view, the sights. The cows in the fields eating buttercups, and the snow-capped hills in the distance. Lisa-Lot sighed. It was a deep sigh filled with unrealized longing. Hey, Rexaurus, thanks for stopping by. This is Blackberry Honey. It's a visual novel about maids being lesbians. And also getting bullied by children. She sounded so earnest and sincere, Lorena felt something tremble inside her own breast. This jam is delicious. Thank you for bringing it to me. The cook did a wonderful job. The cook didn't make it. Oh, then who did? It was Tao Hua. Oh, it was Tao Hua? The peculiar parlor maid? That's right. How curious. I didn't know she could cook. She doesn't look like the kind who would like to get her hands dirty. No, I suppose she doesn't. She's awfully aloof, I think. But I suppose she's not so bad deep down. You don't mind that she made that jam? Of course not. Why should I mind? She did a wonderful job. My mother could not have done better, I think. Lisa-Lot looked at Effie with large, pleading eyes, and held her hands together at her front in prayer. Please, miss, can I have some more? A rare smile twitched at the corners of Effie's lips, but she soon smoothed them down again. You'll get what you're given. Boo, how sad. Well, you're pretty, so... Here. Thank you very much. Effie spooned another mouthful of jam out of the glass jar, which was now almost empty, and brought it to Lisa-Lot's lips. The Swiss maid accepted it readily, like a hungry baby bird. Effie was a little too zealous in her spoon feeding. When she drew the wooden utensil away, a small smut of black-purple jam remained on Lisa-Lot's cheek. Oh, you have some on you. Where? Here? No. Here? No. Here? Let me. So saying, Effie dipped her head and licked the smear of jam from Lisa-Lot's cheek. The tip of Effie's tongue pressed against Lisa-Lot's smooth skin, and she lapped up the jam in less than a second. It all happened so quickly. Lorena wasn't sure whether or not her eyes were playing tricks on her. But when Effie drew back her head, a tremulous strand of saliva connected her mouth to Lisa-Lot's cheek. Delicious. Effie wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. Lorena's face, meanwhile, burned bright red. How could two women do such things to one another? And so brazenly, too. Didn't they care who saw? Maybe Effie didn't. She was a peculiar girl, and as for Lisa-Lot, she was Swiss. Did Swiss girls have different notions about acceptable boundaries between female friends? Either way, it didn't particularly matter. Ada was fast asleep, her breathing cracked and hissy as it always was. And Pauline and Isabel, despite being sick, were nowhere to be seen. But Effie, I thought you did not like sweets. I don't, but I do care for you. Oh, Effie. Lisa-Lot ducked her head and giggled again. Her face was flushed. Lorena wondered what... Girl, are you dense? No, you know what? The hot older lady has been flinging herself at you for like 12 hours of story and you didn't get it for a while. Yeah, you are dense. Maybe they liked one another. Maybe they did more than like one another. That would explain the licking. There were a couple of things, however, it didn't explain. When did Tao Hua give you that jam? A couple of hours ago. She stopped me in the hallway. Why? Effie shrugged. She said it was a present. Really? Personally, however, I think it was a bribe. A bribe? For my silence. Well, at least you're appreciating the jam more than Lady Constance. Why hadn't she told Lady Constance who had really made the jam anyway? It had been incredibly foolish of her. Lorena sighed heavily. Oh, Lori, why do you look so sad? It's nothing. I was just thinking. About Tao Hua? No? Lorena turned her head. She could feel her face heating up again, as it always did when she thought about the parlor maid. The sight and smell of the blackberry jam wasn't helping either. I was just wondering, well... Can I ask you for some advice? You can ask me anything, but, as Pauline said, I am a dumb blonde, so maybe my answer is not so good. Right, well... Lorena dipped her head. She fiddled anxiously with her fingers. Do you know how I can get closer to Tao Hua? Closer? Lisa-Lot blinked curiously. Her eyes, Lorena suddenly noticed, were very large and very blue. But you are already close to her, are you not? Yes, but I can't always tell what she's thinking. Women are mysterious creatures. You're also a woman. No. What do you mean, no? Like I said, I'm a vampire. Can vampires not be women? Who knows? Lorena groaned inwardly. Well, woman or not, you have the mysterious part down perfectly. Thank you. It wasn't a compliment. I know. Lord, give me strength. Effie could be helpful at times, in her own Effie-like way, but her clipped, deadpan responses were rather frustrating. If you want to know how Tao Hua feels... Yes? Lorena leant in a little closer. Was she finally going to get the advice she wanted? Listen to your heart. Oh. Lorena's shoulders slumped. So that was it, was it? How could a hackneyed, cliched piece of advice like that be useful? Lorena was the daughter of a milliner from Liverpool. She didn't care for pretty sentiments that ultimately meant nothing. She wanted clear, precise, actionable advice. Maybe asking Effie and Lisa-Lot had been a mistake. She'd get better advice asking the cat, Figaro. Well, thank you for your help. Lorena moved to her bed, searching for the half-finished letter she had penned to her mother last night when... Oh, Lorena. And where have you two been? Oh, around. I thought you were sick. We got better. I can see that. I was talking to one of the valets, you see. Ah, yes. Pauline and Isabel would have been talking with the valets. They were always trying to flirt, even when they were on the job. And I happened to hear a most interesting rumor. What? Apparently, Lady Constance has been in a foul mood all day. But her temper got even worse when you visited her. Now. Pauline's lips curved into a cruel, thin smile, like the blade of a scimitar. I wonder why that was. She's in a bad mood because she's ill, like you're supposed to be. That's what you say. But I wouldn't be at all unsurprised if she was in a bad mood because she saw you. Pauline, you're being too cruel. Enough, Lottie. If I wanted your opinion, I'd ask for it. You should learn to hold your tongue. Especially when you can't truly speak our language. I thought I had improved my English a little, at least. If you have, it really is a little. Now, Lorena, what exactly did you do to Lady Constance? You flatter me. I don't hold any influence over her moods. I mean, about as much as an aunt to her. My, how peculiar. I often feel in a bad mood when I see you too, and I'm a grown woman. I wouldn't be so sure about that. Lady Constance is only a young child. I can't imagine what effect your presence must be having on her. Well, I must say, Lady Constance is very fortunate that you and Isabel care about her so much. You're really that concerned about her? Why don't you tend to her in my stead? You both seem to be recovering nicely. Oh my, did we touch a nerve? Despite our disagreements, Lorena, I've only ever tried to help you. And how was slapping me supposed to help? I was disciplining you as your senior. They call it tough love. Unfortunately, my tutelage seems to have failed. And don't blame yourself, Pauline. Some people can't be taught. I know, but it is quite disheartening. I just thought I'd warn you, Lorena. You should take care of yourself. I wouldn't want you to end up like Miss Amy. Lorena looked at Pauline stiffly. Well, thank you for the advice. It's no problem, I assure you. I know we've had our differences, but for all that we disagree, I don't want you to leave Bly. I am not that petty. I just want to see you grow into a halfway competent maid. And maybe in the process, a halfway respectable woman. To that end, you should probably sever your ties with the parlor maid. And why is that? I thought it would have been obvious. Your reputation is poor enough as it is. You don't need to sully it further by associating with a savage. A savage? A true barbarian? The way she looks at me is enough to make my bones rattle. She has such small, slanted eyes, you can never tell what she's thinking. And her face is most disagreeable. But Tao Hua gave me this jam. It really is delicious. I wouldn't eat that if I were you, Lottie. It might be infected, but I feel fine. I'll take care of her. That's very admirable. And while you do that, I'm going to try and take care of Lorena. There's little good that can be said about you, Lorena, but at least you're English. Don't start learning her ways, or there really will be no salvaging you. There's a limit to how much goodness I can do. Damn, this is just racism. And that's what Pauline said. Can you credit it? Is that all? What do you mean, is that all? I've heard worse in my time. But how could she be so cruel? It's quite simple. Human beings are cruel creatures. Take Lady Constance, for example. I could hardly believe it when she threw that porridge across the room. Why is she so wicked? Because she's never been taught to think about anybody other than her selfish little self. The Leonard family is so wealthy, she doesn't need to. I could never throw good food like that away. My mother would have hit me with a slipper. Your mother, I fear, is rather different from Lady Leonard. Yes, she is. At least she has sense. Cao Hua giggled beneath her breath. You're always so passionate, Lori. That's what I like about you. Cao Hua hummed under her breath as she trailed her fingers through Lorena's hair. Lorena exhaled, leaning into the older woman's touch. Her hands were just like magic. Cao Hua's gentle ministrations were so relaxing. Lorena felt like she could have fallen asleep. She would have done so, too, if she weren't so nettled about the earlier events. Has Lady Constance always been like this? Oh, yes, I'm quite certain of that. I've known the fair lady since she was still a bump inside Lady Leonard's stomach. She has been spoiled rotten her whole life, and she believes she can get her own way if she stamps her feet loudly enough and complains. For the most part, she would be right. She would never, ever eat anything prepared by my hands. Not willingly. She hates me far too much. I wonder why, though. Because I don't put up with her nonsense like the other maids. Don't you get into trouble? Lady Constance wants me to get into trouble, but her mother won't send me away no matter what. I am her most valuable possession. Possession? That's right. I suppose in this world, all maids are owned by their masters and mistresses, but my case is a little different. Cao Hua smiled thinly, without any real mirth. It's apparent from a single glance that I don't belong. I've been made aware of the fact my whole life, by almost everybody I've met. I'm rather accustomed to it by now. But isn't that lonely? It's not so terribly lonely. I don't mind being alone. It's more aggravating than anything. Lady Leonard only lets me remain here out of the goodness of her heart, because I'm popular with her guests. People come from all over England to get a good gop at her parlor maid. It's because I'm so very fascinating. I imagine they'd be rather disappointed if they knew I was born in England like the rest of them. Really? Truly. I was born in Brixton. Which Brixton? The one in London. Then you... Wait a minute. I'm confused. Why do you look like you do? Don't worry about it too much, my little Lori. I wouldn't want you to get a headache. But you don't look like you were born in London. Not the slightest. I know. But looks can be deceiving. Not that I'm intentionally trying to deceive anyone. But I suppose it's inevitable, given my appearance. I can thank my father for that. Hey, Polly, welcome to the stream. Sometimes I grow rather tired of being treated as a living enigma when I'm not so different to everyone else. Lady Leonard's guests never talk to me, but about me. And very excitably at that. Maybe they think I'm too ignorant to understand what they're saying. Sometimes I wonder if they think I can't speak English. Though in truth, I can't speak anything but. Lady Leonard only keeps me here because I look unusual. It's not because she thinks I'm particularly talented or intelligent or good at my job. I'm just a diverting amusement. This squared with what Emily had told Lorena, but she still couldn't accept it. Rather, I can't stand it. The way Lady Constance spoke about you was so hateful. Yes, that's it exactly. She's a hateful girl. She doesn't know how to be anything other than hateful, so that's how she acts. It's what I've grown to expect. And she's not the only one. I've heard what the other servants whisper about me, and the people in Ellesmere. That's probably what Lady Leonard wants. She enjoys the attention. But it all seems so silly. What does? If you hate Bly so much, why do you keep working here? You're starting to sound like Emily. Well, good. I think she raised some valid points. You could always sell your violin. That would give you the means to do anything you want. You could go anywhere you want. Memories of the old stories her father had read her came to Lorina's mind. The Arabian Nights, Gulliver's Travels, Don Quixote, like Limbus Company. They were fantastic stories filled with adventure. Lorina knew things in real life rarely worked out as they did in books. She doubted Tao Hua would encounter any magical lapse or teeny-tiny Lilliputians on her travels. That was out of the question. But Tao Hua did travel. Maybe she would be able to be happy. No matter what Tao Hua said, Lorina was sure of one thing. He wasn't happy here. Why then didn't she leave? Was her violin more precious to her than her freedom? Why don't you go? See the world outside these walls. I know you could. Lorina was growing quite excited by her own suggestion. You told me how much you hate serving Lady Leonard's guests, and I know you hate Lady Constance. If you hate it so much, why don't you quit? Why don't you? Why don't I indeed? I wonder. Perhaps it wouldn't be such a poor idea. You mean you'd be willing to consider it? I've been considering it for quite a while, but... Tao Hua's fingers rested within the loose auburn fronds of Lorina's hair. She pondered. As she pondered, her eyes fell upon her well-worn, well-traveled violin case. Almost as though they were drawn there. But what would Lady Whittier think? What would Lady Whittier think indeed? The 17th of May, Tuesday. Chat. Remember to save regularly. That's actually kind of scary. We didn't save for a whole week of progression. I didn't save a single time in the past 3.5 hours. Anyway, the reason I say remember to save is because it's midnight. We still have, I know, there's still a couple hours of story left. So, we should stop here. And we will have to finish next Wednesday. I don't think we can finish tonight, or else we're going to be here till like 3 a.m., 2, 3 a.m. So, that being said, hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation of Blackberry Honey. We will finish it tomorrow night. Please look forward to it. No, not tomorrow night. Sorry. Not tomorrow night. 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 That's misinformation. Sorry. We'll finish it next Wednesday. For those of you who enjoy lesbian maids, please look forward to it. Thank you, everyone who gave us a follow today. Let's find someone to raid. I want to find someone to raid in here. Okay, let me see. What are y'all streaming? Amnesia, Coral Island, Warhammer, Yuppie Psycho, Alien Isolate. Wait, Yuppie Psycho? Right, that thing. What's Coral Island? That looks cozy. Anyway, chat. I'm gonna send y'all to Valrock's Pop. Remember, gang, you can click on the little team name Eldenwood next to my name on the About section. You can see this team I joined. They're dedicated to bringing together and highlighting VTubers 30 and older in the content creator space. If you like hags, as I've been called on Twitter a bunch of times today, check out everyone on the team. It's a good amount. And it's only getting bigger. But for now, I'm off. Have a good night, Rika amigos. I will see all of you. Hello, hag, thank you. I'll see all of you hopefully tomorrow night. We're going to be playing Zero Escape, Zero Time Dilemma. I'm excited to continue that story. Remember, Little Goody Two Shoes on Saturday as well. Adios, everyone. Have a good night. Sleep tight. Don't let the lesbians bite. Unless you're into that shit. Bye!
All my stamina. Okay, let's get to the Hey! Hello, Raiders! Welcome on in! Oh my god, hold on. Let me just get up real quick, because I might pass out. Hello, Raiders! Welcome in, welcome in! Let me give you a shouty. Oh my gosh. Hold on, hold on. We're gonna save that cutscene. Hello, fellow Eldenwood streamer. Hello, Rika. Rika Readman. Hello. Hold on, let me give you. Oh, stop it. Stop it. Stop it, OBS. OBS is fighting me. I'm sorry, OBS is fighting me. No, OBS, please, please. It's so embarrassing. OBS just wants me to be embarrassed. Shout out. Let me make sure I spell this properly. There we go. There we go.